It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn.
Beautiful morning, yeah, the sun in my morning, babe.
Welcome in on a Monday, January 17, 2022. More importantly, MLK Jr. Day. Here in the city, we have the Grizzlies participating right now. But welcome in to our show, Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. We're live from the Family Leisure Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. I am Gabe Kuhn. My partner does pre and post for the Ole Miss Football Radio Network. His name is Brett Stats Norsworthy. Brett, hello.
Good afternoon, Gabe.
Producing the program, our executive producer. He's also Go Tigers 247 Rider Tigers this weekend. My gosh, we'll talk about that. But Bryant Dacus producing the program. Hello, Bryant.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. First hour of our show brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. Plenty to get to. Grizzlies on Friday, they finally lose. We'll open the show with that and sort of discuss. Brett and I were both on hand for that one. Obviously, to the Mavericks on Friday night. They're live right now versus the Bulls, 13-12. 2 minutes left in the first quarter. That's going to be one of the least scored quarters for both teams this entire year. 13-12 right now. That's interesting to say the least. Tigers lose again. Go 0-2 last week after a loss at ECU with only 5 scholarship players available by the end of that. It is just spiraling out of control very, very quickly. Also, Wild Card Weekend concludes tonight with Rams versus Cardinals, but we have 5 of 6 games already in the books. We'll discuss all of them, including the Cowboys and the inevitable sort of controversial ending to their short-lived playoff stay. It was inevitable. It was always going to happen. And the Bengals' first playoff win since 1990. Rundown for today is as follows. Top and not top. At the bottom of this segment, 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports on college football and college basketball. We normally would have DeMichael Cole. DeMichael Cole obviously busy right now. Grizzlies in action at FedEx Forum. So we will not be able to get him. We will catch up with him next week. 5 o'clock, we get to our Monday Night Football preview and pick. And we get to our big 4 on defense this year for Arizona and the LA Rams. 5:25. Very, very excited for this. Calvin Austin III, who's training right now in Texas at Exos for his pro day, combine, what have you, for the Senior Bowl. He will join us, and we'll talk about his process. We'll talk about his career at Memphis. Very, very excited to catch up with a former teammate and good friend. And 5:45, we get to Taco Bell Crunch Time. AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Also watch us live and message us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. Brett, did you have a good weekend?
I did, Gabe. You know how Friday was. It was a late tip and a late end to that game.
What time did you get
the
home?
Grizzlies, it was late,
Yeah.
very late. And the Grizzlies' winning streak, it had to end. I'd almost rather it end like that than a three-pointer at the buzzer from 45 feet. Got blasted Friday night to a very good Dallas team, a Dallas team that the Grizzlies could see either as the 3 versus the 6 or even as the 4 versus 5 come playoff time.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like the Grizzlies, possible matchups. They're tied right now for the number 3 spot with the Jazz. Some of the matchups that they could have in the playoffs, even if they're a top 4 seed, are interesting. The Lakers, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves have always been a really tough matchup for them as well.
Sure could be.
And the Mavericks. The Mavericks are tough for them. That's 2 of their losses in this massive 21 of 26 stretch have been to the Mavericks. And
it's easy math. 4 versus 5 is the most competitive first-round series, and the Grizzlies could easily end up being there. You weren't going to win them off. The Grizzlies weren't going to win. They weren't ever going to lose again. And Friday night it came to an end to a red-hot Dallas, and I think a very tired Grizzlies team that looks tired through most of this first stanza today.
Yeah, what is it? They played 6 games in 8 days. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. It was just tough for the Grizzlies all the way through. Ja was not good. He had run out of gas. You could tell sometimes when he's just bringing it up the floor, he was just sort of lagging behind his normal speed. He had 8 turnovers. Jaren, his arms were tired, wasn't putting up shots very well. 0 for 6 from 3, 4 for 14 from the field. Another thing, I don't know if the Mavs really played all that well. I don't think Luka had a triple-double, but shooting the ball, he was terrible. He was 0 for 6 from 3.
He wasn't great. That's kind of the night you got to cash that in when he's kind of that average.
Yeah, but the Grizzlies just had no more left, and that's what was said after the game. And I think all of them sort of were happy to get into the weekend and get a little bit of rest before this game against the Bulls.
They needed Saturday and Sunday, kind of away from the whole protocol testing, playing, upheaval in the roster, all of that. Today, already a couple afternoon NBA Finals posted, and a great game from college basketball.
Yep,
if you didn't catch the
awesome.
Purdue-Illinois
Yeah.
game, one of the best games of the year already in the books, double overtime affair there. And already, some postponements around college basketball. Maybe this is the week that we end the postponements. Right now, there are games that were scheduled that have already been postponed through Thursday. Mm-hmm. None yet for Friday. None yet for Saturday. Maybe this will be the last week where we can have clear sailing and move on from Omicron.
Let me ask you, counting on it? I'm not counting
No.
on it. I think I think we're dealing with what we're dealing with, and in different areas of the world, in different parts of our country, it's being handled so much differently. There's no uniformity. So I'm not counting on this being the last as far as postponements. Friday, I'm sure something will pop up, but we will see.
I know someone that was
I'll
at
be
the
as
Duke
hopeful as
game
I
on
possibly
Saturday.
can until then.
I know someone was at the Duke game on Saturday at the famous Cameron Indoor Arena, and it's a strict. You must prove, I think, vaccinated and boosted, so 3 rounds of shot. I know 2 vax. I know that, but I think also you have to prove boost. You have to show card. You have to show physical card, not anything on your phone, and masking required inside unless when you're eating. And he was eating, and a person 2 rows behind him taps him on the shoulder and says, "Sir, I wish you'd put your mask on." He said, "I'm eating."
Right.
And look, I want to be respectful. I even asked a person I sat by last week at FedEx Forum. It's optional. It's optional. It's not required. At Duke, it is required unless you're eating. At FedEx Forum, it's optional. I asked the person, and I meant it out of respect and deference to them, I have my mask. I will put it on if you would like for me to. That person said, no, it's not necessary. I promise you, somebody 2 rows from behind me tapping me on my shoulder is not going to go over well.
No. And if I'm eating, if I have my hot dog or my nachos in front of me, no. Don't tap me on the shoulder. Because there's this line we have to talk about where I'm going to a game, I want the game day experience. That's what I'm paying for. I'm paying for the opportunity to be able to watch this team, no question.
I don't need the minder sitting behind me.
But also, I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to – it's sort of an escape, right? And to have to deal
let's go 3 years in the future.
with someone sort of pestering you about a mask is that's no fun.
Let's go 3 years in the future. And we've put Omicron, and we've put Delta, and we've put COVID-19 in the rearview mirror. And we're rolling along pretty well. Let's hope we can do that. And somebody 2 rows from behind you taps you on the shoulder and says, "Sir,
Again,
do you really need to be eating those nachos? I mean, you're a little heavy down there."
Again, I'm trying to enjoy myself. No, I'm not dealing with that. That's ridiculous.
Sir, I don't want you. What if me, a teetotaler, I go to a game and in 3 years I lean over to the person beside me and go, "I don't think you need to be drinking that beer."
Sir, I don't care
Can you
about.
imagine the nerve of that person?
Sir, I don't care about your opinion. That's what I'm telling them. I don't care. Mind your business at that point. And look, again, put your mask on when you're not eating. If you're not drinking, put your mask on.
And don't text me 800,000 people have died because people die from drunk driving and from obesity and cardiology problems every
Brett,
day.
I don't want to ever like.
So it is the same example.
But I don't want to downplay the severity of what COVID-19 has done to our country. There's no question about it. But when I'm at a game, if I'm eating my nachos or what have you and they're in front of me, I don't need someone pestering me every 5 seconds to put my mask back on while I'm not taking a bite of my hot dog. That's no fun for anybody involved. I don't even know. I mean, the mindset of someone to really want to do that from 2 rows behind you too, that always has thrown me off.
They're on full display right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I guess we'll transition to the Tigers from there. On full display right now is the Tigers' inability to win games that matter right now, early in this conference schedule. Lose to ECU 72-71 at the buzzer. They were up 70-60 with 2:19 to go. Outscored 12-1 down the stretch of the game. Last 2 minutes, Brett.
I don't
know what to say anymore.
It was horrible to watch, and I know the first inclination is being undermanned again.
Well,
both sides can only play 5 at a time, and any 5 with Memphis on the front of their jersey should win at Minges, and especially
Brett,
up 10 with 2:09 to play.
I know they're missing guys. I know they had 8 players available.
There's a lot of people missing. A lot of people.
Eight players available.
There's always an excuse.
Josh Minot gets kicked out. You can always use that as an excuse. But 2 minutes to go, you're up by 10. That says to me you're supposed to win that game. I don't care who was on the floor. They had the ability to win that game, and they didn't.
I think that's simple to understand.
And they embarrassed themselves down the stretch, too. When they gave up the lead.
7 losses on January 17th.
Oh, Brett. How are we here?
Today in the AAC.
How are we here? You just have to ask
you
yourself
noticed
those
that?
questions.
7th in the AAC. I thought on Monday, January 17th, 7th in the country might be the ranking. 7th in the AAC, and now the AAC, the prospect of being a 1-bid league, very real. That's humiliating.
Right.
The prospect of it being a 2-bid league and Memphis not one of those two, even more humiliating.
Tigers 9-7. And down the stretch of that game, the last 2 minutes when they gave up the lead and ECU went on that 12-1 run. Tigers had 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, 0 field goals made in the final 2 minutes.
Ineptness of the highest order.
It was awful. And here's the plain up fact: Tigers aren't good. They're just not good. And yes, they're missing guys. But that's just, you're going to have to deal with that the rest of the season. There's injuries. There's lingering injuries to DeAndre Williams. Earl Timberlake didn't look himself, had 3 turnovers, only 2 points. So you can say what you want about the Tigers and where they're at and all the injury. Yeah, of course, you can talk about all the injuries. But they're 9-7 at this point. They sort of are showing us that they're just not that good of a team this year.
Lost on the road at Tulane, UCF, and ECU. Mm-hmm. In front of a total of about 8,000 people in those 3 spots.
Right, combined. And here's the other thing. I mean, tournament discussion at this point? No, you just can't have it.
It's not a serious subject matter.
It's just not. It's not real. It's not a real conversation. If they go undefeated,
bubble's real.
If they go undefeated for the rest of the season, then maybe we can have these discussions. But no, they're giving you no reason to believe that that's a possibility, and their net only is at 63, and people are going to look at that and say, "Oh, they're top 70 net team. They're still in discussion." They're not though. They're 9-7, and they cannot afford any losses like they took this week. They just can't. Because UCF, that team that we thought could be another team that could be a tournament qualifier, they lost to USF, the worst team in conference this weekend.
Yeah.
75-51, wasn't even close. USF drubbed them by 24 points.
Central Florida's net's now 85. USF net, you want to take a guess on it?
Oh, gosh. I would say 200 plus.
218. 8 spots in front of Georgia. Georgia's at 226.
Mm-hmm. You just look around the conference, and the way it's sort of cannibalizing itself, Brett, there's going to be, besides Houston, there's going to be nothing worthwhile there. There just isn't.
It just isn't. It's a bad league. Really, almost from top to bottom. Well, not at the top. Not Houston at 4. It's not. But then Cincinnati, 59. Memphis, 63. SMU, Thursday night's opponent, 66.
And
the Wichita State win now looks very ho-hum. They're not any good. They're not any good.
And again, here's what I'm going to say about the Tigers and possible when you talk about postseason tournament at all, NIT, NCAA tournament, what have you. I don't doubt that the Tigers can go on a run once they get healthy. They got to show me it.
Well,
That's
I
been
do
the
doubt it because I
conversation.
haven't seen one yet.
That's been the conversation the entire time. Right. But heck,
There's not a lot of season
think
left
about
to
the
play.
conversation last week at this time, Brett, that you were having with me about getting on board. Hey, there's a rosy scenario that can
2
happen.
weeks ago,
or 2 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
think about those conversations, how they were playing 3-0 going into the new calendar year.
Yeah, I feel silly for it.
Yeah, but if they get healthy and they get everybody on the floor, if DeAndre Williams can get healthy, which I don't know, I don't know his situation. Doesn't seem all that great. You can get those guys back on the floor. They can make a run, but what is that run going to mean at this point?
Yeah. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. They are at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Great offers on all 2022 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway, the one and only Lexus dealership in town, and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, we had Super Wildcard Weekend this weekend, and there were some good games. We're going to discuss all of them later in the show, but how about them Cowboys, Brett? How about them Cowboys, Brian Vegas? How about them? Do you have anything to say today? Is there anything that's going to come out of your mouth while I discuss the Cowboys? Anything?
No.
Okay. All right. Oh, that was a sad no, Brett. Now I feel bad about what I'm about to
14
say.
penalties, horribly coached.
23-17 49ers. The trendy pick was
Not
correct.
Prepared.
Cowboys.
Lost to Jimmy G.
Cowboys
He did for 177
and
yards.
Jimmy G tried to give it to him.
Oh, he did everything he could.
Yes, Cowboys have now failed to reach the NFC Championship in 11 straight playoff appearances. Dak, we talk about him being the quarterback that has to prove something. He proved nothing. He proved exactly what we think about him.
Another year.
I did put him not in my top seven.
That's true, but he proved exactly what we know about him. He is in big moments. He tends to shrink a little bit, and also when you talk about a guy who has the ability to make good throws down the field, he never has those wow throws, does he, Brett? Nothing ever wows me. And I know the O-line wasn't good enough. There were 5 sacks, only 77 yards rushing. For the Cowboys, the yards rushing sort of chalk up to the fact that the Cowboys took an early deficit. But neither of those teams were trustable in crunch time, in my opinion. 49ers, they're a solid team. They're going to be in any game that they play against any opponent just because of who they are.
They won't be in the game at Lambeau.
But
they're going to get blasted.
His teams, Kyle Shanahan's teams, shrink when it matters, right? Down the stretch,
gave
that
a
game,
Super Bowl
they
away.
tried to give it away to the Cowboys, and it made sense that was the Nickelodeon game, right? It just made sense that was the Nickelodeon game. Cowboys in this game.
Did you go to Nickelodeon and get slimed, any?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch any of it.
I've
seen it once. That's enough for me. I'm good. Did you watch it on Nickelodeon?
I watched the first drive on Nickelodeon, and then I switched back to CBS.
Dak got MVP.
He did.
I turned it on Nickelodeon because I got so sick of Tony Romo. Tony Romo needed pom-poms and a cheerleading outfit on yesterday. He was such the Cowboy homer.
Our two winners.
It was insufferable.
Yeah, he was a little much. But our two back-to-back MVPs this. So we had Mitch Trubisky year 1 and Dak Prescott year 2.
Yep.
That's fun. Cowboys 14 penalties in that game, and then that in-game situation, Brett.
Ridiculous.
How do you make that mistake? And what the hell is going on with that?
It was a horrible call.
We'll discuss that
it was
later in the show.
To call that play. You don't have enough time to do all that.
We're going to have to discuss Mike McCarthy. But you look at this team this year, they were the most penalized team in the NFL, and then Dak after the game was critical of the refereeing. Cowboys fans throwing stuff on the field. It was just all bad. But how else would you expect the Cowboys to go out of the playoffs? That's just it's
like they have for 25 years.
It's normal.
They've been a mostly irrelevant franchise for 25 years, except for that star and that hoopla. How about this one? Kansas City Chief O-lineman Nick Allegretti had as many catches and more touchdowns as C.D. Lamb did this weekend.
Shout out Nick Allegretti.
Way to go, big O-lineman. My top story, NFL Elite Eight almost set. Tennessee and Green Bay home next week after buys. Rams and Arizona tonight will punch that last ticket for next weekend's play. The Monday Night Football playoff style tonight. Look forward to that. Big Ben's done. Buffalo splatters New England. Joey Burrow moves on. TB12 wins again. And the Cowboys, they cry again. Jerry Jones, he's right. That roster's loaded. That is a great roster that they have assembled in Dallas, but it's horribly coached, even worse prepared, and now they have to wait till next year after being eliminated from the playoffs from Jimmy G. Whiz. That's what we need to call him, Jimmy G. Whiz.
Or as Johnny Harden likes to call him, porn star Jimmy.
Duh.
Not top story of the day.
Do you not know the whole porn star Jimmy Garoppolo story? He was seen on a date with a porn star.
Oh, on a date?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I was on a date with a porn star. Yeah.
What a guy.
I think he was dating her for
He
a
was.
while. We need to get the exact name, but that's good old porn star Jimmy. But he got through. He won his first round game. Not top story. Tigers dropped to 9-7 with a loss versus ECU, 72-71. They're up 70-60 with 2:19 to go. Outscored 12-1 to end the game. Granted, yes, you only have 8 players available. I think 5 scholarship. Tadarius Jacobs got some time in the game. And then it was 7 players available after Josh Minot was ejected for leaving the bench with the whole melee between Jalen Duren and an ECU player. It was what it was, but Earl Timberlake was back, so that's a good sign, headed in the right direction, but he was not good. 2 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 fouls, 3 turnovers. They gave up the lead in the last 2 minutes with 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, and 0 made field goals. That last second shot from ECU was the fact that you had an out-of-bounds play that was that easy to draw up and throw up a shot with 1 second to go. I don't know how the Tigers let that happen coming out of that timeout.
The Tigers can't get it in bounds, and they can't defend in bounds.
And they're playing against SMU on Thursday. SMU's a solid team in the AAC, nothing to write home about. It's a winnable game if they have everybody back full strength. But will they win that game? Who knows? No more tournament discussion for the time being. Just absolutely none. Cannot do it. If you want to talk NIT, maybe. NIT discussion is very, very possible. But NCAA tournament, you just can't have it. Tigers are a net of 63 right now. It seems like they should be lower.
Should they accept an NIT bid, Gabe?
Yes, you accept it. You get postseason basketball's postseason basketball.
Well, you wouldn't take a CIT bid, though.
No, I don't think so. But NIT, after winning it last year, postseason basketball is something that I think you should go forward with, regardless of the situation. I don't know what's in their mind right now with all the injuries they've taken and all the COVID stop, but Tigers are just in a terrible spot.
My not top story, Grizzlies lose on Friday to end a great run. Playing now at the FedEx Forum as the featured MLK Day game. It's time to start a new winning streak for the Grizzlies. After today, the next 4 on the road, all very tough, including today 15 games before the break. I'd take 8-7 right now going into the break out of this next 15, and then out of the break, 22 games after the break. Winning 50 is still right there for the Grizzlies. And let's win 50, see what seed that gets you.
Yep, we will see. That'll do it for our top and our not top story of the day. AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255. Get your texts in. We have a few already. We'll read them on the other side, and we'll talk Tigers when we come back on Sports 56 98.5.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world at sports56whbq.com or on the Sports 56 app.
Bellyacre's motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. 2 great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday 11A to 9P, Friday and Saturday 11A to 10P. Regalia Sunday through Thursday 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Dare Ya or the Double Dare Ya. and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Belly Acres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Belly Acres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Belly Acres.
Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing is now currently hiring all positions. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, please apply today. Choate's is offering huge sign-on bonuses to seasoned technicians, plumbers, installers, and air duct cleaners. At Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing, we offer a career, not just a job, by putting you in a paid training program to develop your technical and customer service skills to best serve our customers. Choate's offers top pay in the Mid-South, weekly pay, paid vacation and holidays, company matching retirement account, health, dental, vision, and life insurance, and Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthday bonuses. If this sounds like an exciting opportunity for you, then we should talk. So call us at 347-8086 or apply online at choateshvac.com under the careers link. Come, join our family.
You might not know me, but I'm Zip with the ZipCat construction app.
Why are you collecting leftover construction materials, Zip?
I'm turning it into cash.
That's easy. You can turn leftover materials into cash. Keep it out of dumpsters and help the environment.
That's why they call me Zip, the construction guru. Also, ZipCat app saves you time and money. Lets you describe a job, name your price, and get a job done.
That's smart, Zip. You're amazing.
General contractors, take a few minutes, price a job, and get it done. Download the free ZipCat app in the Apple Store or Google Play. Best tool in your toolbox.
The new year means new great savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 10 years of worry-free driving. We Gossett with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Take your pick. 2022 Kia Forte LXS or 2022 Kia Sportage, $199 a month. Forte, $27.99 due at signing. Sportage, $34.99 due at signing. Let your adventures begin with 2022 Kia Sorento, $359 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month leases. Come see Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7. KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Sportage, N702, 7277, MSRP 25,460. Forte, NE44, 2833, MSRP 21,980. Sorrento, NGO 990119, MSRP 35,340. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Must finance through KMF. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/3/2022. Dealer stock only.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Memphis Tigers basketball, 9-7 on the year after an 0-2 week last week on the road. First to UCF, they lose. Then to ECU, they lose 72-71 after blowing a late lead. Obviously, they're dealing with injuries, but it is what it is. They only had 8 players available for the ECU game. Only 5 scholarship players. Tadarius Jacobs got some time, but they sit right now, Brett, at 9-7 overall, 3-3 in conference. I believe that's right now, given the situation. I think they're tied for 6th right now with East Carolina in the American Athletic Conference, but sitting at 3-3. And normally you would talk about at this point in the season, a team like this, you'd talk about moving the goalposts. But the problem with that is the expectations were just so dramatically high coming into this year with all the talent they had, with all that Penny was saying, talking about Earl Timberlake being one who could be the best two-way player in America, talking about Imani Bates, all the baby KD comparisons, Jalen Duren, what he was, number 1 recruit. The problem is you've created such an expectation preseason that moving the goalpost just does not sit well with fans.
No, it's a bad look. I said the Tigers were 7th. They are technically tied, but they are tied with East Carolina that won. I fully expect the Tigers to pay them back and beat them at FedEx Forum. But East Carolina also with a better overall record, 6th or 7th, whichever one you would like. I didn't think on January 17th, 6th or 7th conversation in the AAC would come close to being had, but we're having it, and it's a assortment of problems. Gabe, help me, Brian, Texter, anybody, somebody help me with this. We know during COVID, whether it was position grouping in football, in college football, that led last year particularly to a lot of postponements. And we know this year in college basketball we've had a lot with COVID. Was the Tigers personnel grouping Saturday, was it was around the threshold? It was around the Tennessee game that couldn't be played, wasn't it?
I'm not. See, the Tennessee game, they didn't give an official word on who was actually unavailable, right? And there was, they say 11 vaccinated, 6 unvaccinated. They never gave us an official word on that, but I'd imagine the number was similar. It was around there, right?
Couldn't be too
You're talking
dissimilar,
about 8. You're talking about 8 available players. You need 7 to play.
We're talking plus or minus 1, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it was around there because I think what I've heard around is that there was 1 or 2 vaccinated players that had COVID when all this happened.
Right.
And so then with the unvaccinated, I think they had like 6 available. So that would put them
they
under
were under
the
the threshold.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were close on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. Similar
and
number.
I ask that because this gives rise to why didn't you march on and play the red shirt that day?
Well, they probably. They didn't have enough players, I guess, is what you would have to say. And I wonder out of conference if there at that time there was a threshold of players or if they dropped out. But it has to do with not having enough scholarship players. That's the end of the day situation, and that's why they didn't play the Tennessee game. This one though, they had 8 players and they're forced to go ahead with it. How much different? And that's a good question from you, Brett. How much different is the policy for an out-of-conference game as opposed to the in-conference game with not being able to play because of COVID?
And I preface it with help me. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
This is all question mark. None of this is period. I'm not making a statement. I'm asking a question because I simply do not know. But I know who did play Saturday, and I know, again, the same old free throw problems, 4 of 11 from free throws. Same old turnover problems, 17. It doesn't matter who's playing. It's always sloppy. It's always looks to be very poor fundamentally. And those inbounds under basket, whether it's defending them or trying to get the ball in, the Tigers have trouble with that.
The last second shot was on one. Defending them, I can't understand how you let
bounce
that happen.
pass across the middle of the lane.
I don't, and a wide open shot, really. It's just the best look you could possibly hope for with that amount of time on the clock. So,
and lose at Minji's.
You just don't know what to say anymore. You just don't know what to say anymore. Because Brett, we were talking about 4 losses the entire year. We're talking about 5 losses. We're talking about easy winning the AAC. We're talking about a tournament team top 5 seed. That's what we were talking about. That is so far gone.
And Gabe, I forewarned about it because I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. And I gave the example of Cincinnati only attempting 6 free throws compared to the Tigers' 19 at FedEx Forum.
Yep.
A week ago Sunday afternoon. I knew as sure as the sun sets in the west, the next time it happened and it was reversed and it was in a Tiger loss, we call it both ways.
See,
how come both sides doesn't shoot the same amount of free throws? There's no rule that everybody shoots the same amount of free throws.
And I saw a lot of sort of discussion about the Tigers having 22 fouls to ECU's 12. I watched the game. I didn't see anything.
They fouled more.
I didn't see anything blatant. I didn't see anything wild. Tigers just fouled more. Didn't have the guys on the floor were not as disciplined as ECU was, especially on ball guarding. So you can talk about the foul discrepancy and the foul shot discrepancy all you want, but I don't think it was a story. I think it was a non-story.
It is a non-story, and that's just emboldening people that are needing red meat with excuses that you shouldn't be providing for them to have that take coming out of a game. And, Gabe, I said it like a week ago today, 1 week ago today after the Sunday game against Cincinnati, how patently unfair would it be that if one team is in violation of the rules more than the other one, thus fouling more, but you didn't call it because you wanted to keep it even-handed?
Yep, we've had that discussion. And
1 week. 1 week later.
Brett, I didn't see even was there so much as a call in that game that you really – I mean, there's always going to be one or two. But was there – did anyone think – and I want to hear on the text line to a certain extent – did anyone think that game was unfairly called? I didn't see anything in there that was blatant or bad. I don't think the Tigers got picked on, to say the least. I'm never one to be a referee caller out guy. I just don't do that. I think you win that. You were up by 10 with 2 minutes to go. I think it's your fault you lost that game. But as far as the refereeing goes, I don't even think that even needs to be mentioned. Now, we have some text here from Keith. We'll start with Keith. And this is interesting. He says, Penny's on the verge of quitting or getting fired. Where's Rasheed Wallace? It don't look good for Penny. It doesn't look good for Penny. I don't know about quitting, getting fired. Getting fired, we'll see. We've had these conversations in the past week. We talked with Greg Gaston last week about it. If there is a vacancy at the University of Memphis in the near future, there will be takers for the job. But you don't – it's sad to even have to think about something like that with Penny Hardaway and who he is as a Memphis Tiger and how much he is loved by the city. To think about a possible situation where he has to step down or get fired, that's terrible.
It is. I'm not close to that point right now. 2 weeks, 2 more months, and that's about what's left in the season, especially if it's any postseason, then it might be a different story. It might be a different story if there's IARP ruling by then, because I believe today, without a very onerous decision from the IARP, there would be a line long wanting the Memphis job. You have an opening and get the sledgehammer from IARP, then that's different math.
Someone says it's all turnovers with Memphis. They don't take good open shots and don't feed the paint enough, make stupid passes and don't feed the paint. They have the best big men in the USA. If they have DeAndre Williams back, I believe in that front court of DeAndre Williams and Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren at times.
Jalen Duren shot 10 times Saturday.
At times is still young. That's what I was about to mention. He's got some young to him. I think early in the year you could have made that argument, but this weekend I didn't see a big need to go down low and feed that area of the floor. Have another text here. In my opinion, Tigers have had 2 players in the last 6 years that could dominate a basketball game. That would be Precious Achiuwa and Jeremiah Martin. I don't see that type of player on this team yet, but if he is given the minutes, Josh Minot could possibly become that guy if he doesn't portal out. He's getting the minutes now. He got kicked out of the game. So, I mean, that's on him. He did apologize to Penny Hardaway and the team for getting kicked out of that game for leaving the bench when Jalen Duren got into it with an ECU player. But Josh Minot, he's a very up-and-down player. He certainly gives the effort. He's certainly around the ball enough, rebounds really well, but he fouls a lot and puts himself in some precarious situations. So I don't even know if he's that guy, if he gets the type of minutes you're talking about.
It got scary down the stretch Saturday with Minot out. Well, that left you with 7 available. Then you had Earl Timberlake with 4 and coming off an injury, and Malcolm Dandridge with 4. I got a little bit scared that if it goes to overtime, you could look up in overtime and see
what
4 available guys.
3 or 4 players. Who was it? Alabama a few years ago.
Yes.
They had 3 players available on the floor.
Yes, in a November in a November multi-team event tournament, they got down to having to play 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't think they will let the game go on if it gets below 3. Will they?
I don't think so. You could 2 versus 5, 3 versus 5 is ridiculous, but 2 versus no. I can't imagine. We've never seen it.
That was
so
scramble defense.
Yeah. And this text does make a whole lot of sense and does sort of highlight a lot of what we've seen in the Penny Hardaway era. It says you can hype these players before the season starts all you want, But you have to show me. I haven't been shown much. I agree.
Well, I'm 100% with the texture. I right now, Val, of course, as a news story, as a topic of discussion during the summer, this coming summer, if the Tigers land the number one player in the country, of course we're going to talk about it. If the Tigers land,
it's a different feeling though now, isn't it?
A big-time star out of the portal, of course we're going to talk about it. But to almost break into regularly scheduled program in the middle of the night and talk about, well, will they go undefeated or maybe just lose one game? I'm done with that.
Yeah, you have to be. I've been fooled too many times in this era of Penny Hardaway coaching this basketball team.
The most pleasantly surprising year of the 4 years of Penny Hardaway was the first year.
It was year one.
And that was largely with leftovers from Tubby Smith. Since then, he's done, for someone that's done so many great things as head coach of the University of Memphis, it's sad that none of them have really been where it matters the most, and that's in winning ball games.
No tournament appearances, not even a fathomable thing with the type of recruit that Penny Hardaway has brought in. And it's plain up fact. It's just what you watch this team and you see what he's done through these first 4 years, and it's always the same things that rear their ugly head. It hadn't changed.
It hadn't. And Gabe, to look at some of these bracketologists that still have the Tigers not that far out. I mean, they're either some still among the first four, almost all of the next four.
Brett, there's this hope for some of those guys. There's this thought, okay, all this talent on this team, will it mesh at some point? If it does mesh, you could see a different product down the stretch. That's what they're thinking. But they've given
something else.
And you've mentioned it earlier in the show. They've given you no inkling or reason to believe that they're going to go on an undefeated run down the back half of their conference schedule. They haven't given you that thought yet.
And it's something else. It's more than that. It's those guys still
holding on to
that
preseason.
And some of the muted criticism around town of Penny Hardaway, it remains for this reason. It's Penny privilege.
We'll leave it at that.
He has it.
We'll leave it at that. And when we come back on the other side, we'll still take your Tigers text at 901-360-8255. But we're going to switch gears to the Grizzlies. Grizzlies in action right now. We'll give you an update on that score, and we'll talk about what they have ahead on their schedule right here on Sports 56, 98.5.
You have opinions?
Well, you got to have an opinion.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Southland Casino is turning spinners into winners. It's the return of Battle Wheels. And this time around, we're giving away up to $375,000 in free play. Earn entries every day. Then each Saturday night in January, 30 finalists take their turn at the prize wheel. Everyone who spins wins. Take the short spin to Southland for your chance to win part of up to $375,000 in free play. See Lucky North Club for details. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly for help. Call 800-522-4700.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
Hey, Jeff Allen, it's a new year, and that means time to make your customers happy in 2022 at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Happy is easy to do with our great savings. I've got a take your pick that will knock your socks off. How about a 2022 Kia Forte LXS or a 2022 Kia Sportage? Your choice, $199 per month.
Forte's $27.99 due at signing, and Sportage is $34.99 due at signing. Plus, all Gossett Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty program.
Plus, a 2022 Kia Sorento $359, only $34.99 due at signing, and all 36-month leases. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Sportage N702 7277, MSRP 25460, Forte 8044 2833, MSRP 21980, Sorento NGO 990119, MSRP 35340. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 plus finance through KMF. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/3/2022. Dealer stock only.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
It is a Martin Luther King Jr. Day edition. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. AutoZone listener line always open, 901-360-8255. Questions, comments, concerns on anything we've talked about today. Get in the zone. AutoZone right now. Grizzlies in action against the Bulls. They're up 58-45. And have a day, Desmond Bane. It is halftime, and he has 19 already, 3 for 5 from three, 8 for 12 from the field. And he actually has, weirdly enough, sort of struggled at home comparatively to away.
Bane train lighting back up would be big for the Grizzlies. Get Bane and Morant back in that good groove, that 11-game groove. Look, Friday night, you almost knew that had to come at some point.
Yeah.
I swear, I'll go back. I'd rather have lost like that, just knowing down the last 7 minutes of the game, it's just the margin of the Mavericks' victory, the only thing in jeopardy, than having an 11-gamer end at the buzzer with a 40-footer.
Yes, that could be very detrimental to the team's psyche if that were to happen. But, I mean, the Grizzlies, you just knew from the beginning of that game, not the beginning necessarily, but once you got to about halftime and rolled into the third quarter and saw what the Mavericks were doing, the Mavericks looked like the more rested team. They looked like the better team the other night. And the Grizzlies just didn't have it about them. We've also had some finals for the NBA slate today. Celtics beat the Pelicans 104-92. Hornets beat the Knicks 97-87. Wizards beat the 76ers 117-98. And right now, Nets up 90-87 on the Cavs, and the Clippers up 68-59 on the Pacers. The Grizzlies did catch a little bit of a break, though, today, not having, obviously, Zach LaVine will be out for an extended period of time for the Bulls, and also Lonzo Ball out. So this is a good one to take advantage of while you get the chance.
Yeah, across really every sport, but especially in basketball, having largely to be played during the teeth of what is traditionally cold, flu, respiratory illness season, and 100% played indoors. Thus basketball played indoors. Everybody, college and pro, it's a patchwork. What these teams are doing to the scouting departments, whomever wins it this year, Gabe, when they start voting, it's easy to spend somebody else's money, but when they start voting playoff shares and rings and stuff, a lot of people should be getting full shares and rings, because there are some back office grinders.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, monitoring the Latvian league to see if somebody can play.
It has forced everyone to do their job 100 times harder. I mean, seriously, everybody has to be locked in on what everybody needs to get done because of all the injuries, COVID, the illness, everything going on. Grizzlies have a 4-game road stretch coming up, and it looks to be a pretty tough one. Besides the last game of the stretch, which on the road against San Antonio can always be a tough one.
Historically, it has been.
Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, they have the Bucks. Then they go in to play the Nuggets. Then they play the Mavs all in a row. That'll be a very tough stretch, and it'll definitely test the Grizzlies on how good they are at this point in the season.
Yeah, that could be 0-3 and almost a scheduled 0-3.
Yeah, don't lose your mind over it. You don't lose your mind over it. The Nuggets, I haven't really seen. Nuggets have been playing better, and Jokic in MVP form again. And I still don't know if he gets enough credit for what he does for that team necessarily. I think there was a lot of people with a conversation last year about, is he the worst MVP we've ever seen? Shut up. Let's stop that. Yeah. But the Nuggets aren't going to be the Nuggets until they get Jamal Murray back into the lineup. And I don't know when that will be.
One of Bryant's favorite players, I think, was the worst MVP ever in sport, Mark Mosley. Kicker.
Hey.
Hey, what?
That's a great MVP. If you're a kicker and you're the MVP, tell me another kicker that's been MVP.
That's it.
So how is that the worst?
That's the answer.
Thank you.
I have a couple of Grizzlies texts here. Coming off a stunning loss to the Mavs, expect the Grizzlies to smash the Bulls today. They're up 58-45 at half. They're on their way, but they have to handle themselves in the third quarter, not run out of gas.
Only 5 free throws in the first half for the Grizzlies. Call it both ways.
Somebody else. The Grizzlies need to finish off Chicago and start a new win streak today. That should be the plan. But you're talking about a team.
Seconded.
Still, 21 of 26. Yes.
Even if you somewhat, again, like I said in my top story, if you even limp to the break at 8-7, 7-8, something like that, fine. Because then when you come out of the break, there's going to be about an equal number home games as road in that final 22 stretch. And that's the real time of the year to get hot. I mean, you'll take an 11-gamer at any point. But you have it in March and April. That usually portends pretty good
It'll
things.
be really, really nice to get Dillon Brooks back on the floor and healthy and going, because I think Zaire Williams with all of it, it's weird because I think in a lot of ways the Grizzlies have sort of learned who they are through injuries this year. Ja Morant going out early in the season, them winning 10 of 11. They all had to pull a little extra, get production out of guys that weren't giving as much production. Bane stepped up. I think people learned how to play without Ja. When he got back in the lineup, they played a lot better. They've been playing well with Ja in the lineup. And now with Dillon out, Zaire Williams has had his time to shine, and he's been up and down, but you see the potential there. And once he moves,
the growth.
But once he moves back to the bench, how much of a contributor will he be without having to be in that starting lineup? I think certainly a whole lot more.
Young player will have to accept that, because that's probably will mostly be what he's asked to do, unless there's another opportunity to play a lot more like it has presented itself. And even the coaching staff upheaval.
Yep. 3 different coaches so far this year. They have gone through it all. And you talk about everybody, the TV broadcast, the radio broadcast, everyone in that organization has had to do some extra pulling this year at some point this year because of COVID-19 and injuries. And
it'll make for a good documentary at the end of the year.
I guess so.
I think there are a lot of stories from around sport that when we get to truth-telling time, when it's all over, about injuries, about player
there'll be some wild
contentment,
stories.
It's going to be some wild stuff.
That'll do it for hour number 1. Hour number 2, we're going to bring on David Cobb from CBS Sports to start the hour on some college football and college basketball. 4:30, we get to the NFL slate from this past weekend. We discuss in full. We also look forward to the Arizona and LA game tonight. And then at 4:45, bottom of the hour, we get to your text right here on Sports 56, 98.5.
Acura of Memphis invites you to experience the all-new, completely redesigned 2022 Acura MDX. It's the most advanced SUV Acura has ever built. Experience the convenience of full connectivity, including built-in Alexa, Wi-Fi hotspot, and wireless charging, from the stunning interior, complete with third-row seating. Stop by our state-of-the-art facility and take advantage of our aggressive APR offers today at Ridgeway and 385. Or shop online from the convenience of home now. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Hour number 2 on MLK Jr. Day. This is Sports Time on Sports 56. Gabe Kuhn and Brett Stats Norsworthy. Brian Dacus, of course, producing the program. Grizzlies are in action right this second at FedEx Forum in their third game of a 4-game homestand. They're playing against the Bulls 60-49 right now. They just started the third quarter. They're about 2 minutes in, and there is an interesting sort of injury going on right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. Had to leave the floor briefly for a calf injury. He's back on the sideline right now. No noticeable limp, so we'll
had
keep,
a big block.
We'll certainly keep an eye on that, but it looks like he is going to be all right. But right now, we bring on our good friend from CBS Sports, talking college football and college basketball, David Cobb, at David W. Cobb on Twitter. David, how's it hanging?
Hey, David.
Hey, guys. Sounds like we're all doing the same thing right now, watching the Grizzlies. So it's nice to have a little afternoon action in the NBA, following a really good Illinois-Purdue game at noon.
How about that?
Classic.
That was a really
classic
good
game.
Yeah, it was awesome. I wish we'd do more of this on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I do too, David. It was among many things. We were just all so glad to get sports started back. But it was that day last year, and I think it was on a Thursday in September, where we had NHL playoffs, NBA, Major League Baseball, college football, an NFL game. I mean, we had everything, and I think that weekend was one of the Triple Crown races in horse racing.
Yeah, we won't be taking those for granted after what we've been through. And knock on wood, back in good shape in college basketball. I mean, it's obviously still an issue in the NBA. I mean, I feel like Taylor Jenkins has been out for a long time now, or at least missed at an inopportune time where every time I look up, it's Darko doing those interviews and not Taylor. But for the most part, it feels like we're in a good space right now. But as we've seen with this thing, it ebbs and flows. I just hope we stay in an ebb until college basketball season gets over with.
I said earlier, it feels like maybe, boy, how many times we had this week over the last 104 weeks. But it feels like this week could be the last one with the en masse cancellations around college basketball. I know the games on Thursday have some, but none Friday, none yet for Saturday. Maybe we can get to some clear sailing.
The thing that scares me, though, David, and maybe you could, alleviate my fears on this. It just feels like we're so far apart in different parts of the country on where we're at with protocols and everything. There's some places out in California with no fans, in New York with no fans, and then elsewhere full, no masks. It just feels like everybody's on a different page.
Yeah, that's actually going to be really interesting. I would love to get some truth serum in the Pac-12 coaches to get their thoughts on how they really feel about playing home college basketball games in front of no fans. Because you're talking about UCLA losing in overtime at home to Oregon last week, and that's going to count as a home loss against them, but it was played in what was, by all intents and purposes, a neutral site.
Very sterile. Yeah, I mean, it was as antiseptic as a hospital room, and then Oregon turned around and did the same thing to USC, didn't they?
Exactly. So USC, same situation, loses as well. So, I mean, obviously you tip your cap to Oregon. That's what Oregon does. They get better as the second half of the season comes along. That's just what they always do. But if you're USC or UCLA, Andy Enfield or Mick Cronin, behind the scenes, you got to be thinking, come on, guys, let our fans back in here because it's hurting us.
And what happened, and maybe you could add, we sort of followed it, maybe you could add some context to this. What happened with that Washington State-Stanford game that started late?
Yeah, I think in college you're seeing just team doctors have a lot of influence on the way things are handled. And so, in that case, I believe it was a situation where one of the team medical staffs was uncomfortable with some inconclusive test results from the opponent or something of that nature and held up the start of the game by a couple of hours. And so, obviously, you defer to the medical folks and all that.
Right.
It would be great if there was uniformity. And I think it's frustrating when there's not. And the lack of uniformity is shocker coming out from the West Coast, right, where they were the first to cancel football back when all this started. Now they're still the only ones who are kind of playing without fans. And I get it. Like, that's, kind of the MO of their institutions and the culture out there. But at the same time, if you're a coach, or if you're a player, that's got to be maddening when everybody else in the country is playing under normal circumstances and has fans and, they're starting their games on time and, their team doctors aren't holding things up. And then here you are where it just seems like the Pac-12 just does everything that it can to put itself at a competitive disadvantage.
Yeah. And you got games at Crypto.com Arena in downtown Los Angeles being played for the Clippers and the Lakers in front of a full house, but 13 and a half miles away at Westwood at Pauley, they can't. I don't know the mileage to the Galen Center on the campus of USC right by the Coliseum, but it can't be much more. Might be even a little less. But we're going to get to the Crucible in Los Angeles, and we're going to get to it on the Crucible of sports days. It's called Super Bowl Sunday. And it's not a chance. Well, I say there's not a chance. But, David, Roger Goodell's got to be talking to governor, mayor, everybody. You don't pull this on me 24 hours out that no fans can show.
I don't know. Maybe for those folks out there, it makes them, it's a political statement or some sort of, look at us, look how virtuous we are.
Yeah, they are so virtuous, aren't they? They care so much. They care so much more than all that big area of country between the Hudson and Hollywood.
Yeah. I don't know. I would think surely. If I'm the NFL, I know logistically it would be impossible, but you gotta pull the Super Bowl up and go put it somewhere that'll have fans in the stadium. I mean, I that might be impossible, but it would be a shame if he were strong armed. I think in that sense, unless the next variant emerges and is actually really serious and something considerably worse than what Omicron has been. Like, I just don't see the justification for it.
Mm-hmm. Talking with David Cobb at David W. Cobb on Twitter, covers college basketball and college football for CBS Sports. David, all right, to the Tigers. I promised I wouldn't, and it's funny because I just said no more tournament discussions, but I'm going to completely break my rule. Tigers are at 9-7.
Gabe, you can do that.
Tigers are at 9-7.
Do that.
3-3 in the American Athletic Conference, and the NCAA tournament talk seems dead. What do they have to do at this point, going 0-2 last week against who they went 0-2 against? What do they have to do to bring that tournament discussion back out of us?
I think they would have to beat Houston twice. So be it twice in the regular season or once in the regular season and once in the AAC tournament. So beat them twice in potentially 3 meetings, but only 2 guaranteed. And probably not lose more than one other game. And I don't think that's going to happen. Right. I mean, they're just not good enough to get through that. I mean, if they were as good as we thought they might be before the season, yeah, you could see them getting through the rest of the AAC, with only 1 loss. But they're not there, and it's just the way it is. I think I wrote on Saturday. In our big wrap-up from the day at CBSSports.com, that I think at this point a more reasonable goal is to keep the 20-win streak alive, which is, something. Maybe it's not nothing, but it's not what anyone hoped for. But you just can't watch this team and continue to suggest that there's any real hope of them getting an at-large bid.
David, what do you think is incumbent on committee members? Should they, or when I get through this, it may be all of the above. Should they just look at this raw data, the numbers-driven data, the net rankings type data, and write everybody off as COVID, year 2, wild and crazy times? If you lost, you lost. Or should they do a thorough examination? All right, Memphis lost this because I think some of this bracketology that is still slightly in the Tigers' favor and this national dialogue about the Tigers that's still very, very favorable. Nobody wants to criticize Penny Hardaway. Nobody wants to. Near or far, nobody wants to do that. But do you think that they get a pass? And if they do, who else should?
Well, I think in the macro, you can't let the COVID stuff impact the way that you build your group of say 50 at-large, potential at-large teams. You got that group, and you can't let COVID stuff influence who gets in, who gets out of that group. Once you get down to making your final decision, if it's between, say, a Memphis and a team that's been totally healthy and they have comparable resumes, well, sure, then maybe you do take into account, the COVID situations and the injury situations at Memphis. Yeah, sure, exactly. But in the long run, I mean, no, I don't think that anyone's going to look at a Memphis team that, finishes 17-11 and say, oh, well, they had COVID. No, if Memphis finishes 17-11, they're going to be on the NIT bubble. So it's just, an issue of like, maybe if it comes down to you and another team or you're one of the last 4 in, I think then it enters the conversation. But I don't think Memphis has an NCAA tournament resume right now. And I wouldn't put them in that conversation just because they've gone through COVID. I mean, the calling card of this Memphis team was supposed to be its depth. And so when you have depth, and that's supposed to be one of your strong points, it should shine through. And, you're playing at ECU, and it did shine through for, the first 36 minutes of that game. They were up by double digits down the stretch after the under 4 timeout with like 2 minutes left, and they still lost. So it's especially in a case of a team like that has the bodies and the depth, the COVID excuse is only going to help them if it's down to a last 4 in situation, and the team they're up against is, a team that wasn't as impacted.
Yeah, I know things can rapidly change, and we're about 8 weeks out from the bracket that matters, the only one that matters, the NCAA tournament bracket. But you look at things today, and you look at some of this bracketology, and you see Memphis slightly ahead on some of this first four, next four verbiage, slightly ahead of Murray State. Well, we know they played. We know they played in Memphis, and we know who won. And also I look at the net ranking, and I see Murray State at 31, and I see Memphis at 63. I say all that, David, to bring this up. We've got some local, and we got a bunch national, and I sure want him to get well, but Dick Vitale every year goes on that NCAA selection show Sunday sermonette about the champion of the little guy, and where's more of the little guy? And then Billis follows suit, and Seth Davis follows suit, and they all get their sermon in about the little guy. More virtue signaling, more we care more than you big meanies in those Power 5 football conferences, Brett, especially you, in those frat and football leagues like the SEC. Especially we care a lot more than you. I want to hear that bunch of phonies defend Memphis getting in over Murray or getting in over Belmont or getting in over Grand Canyon or North Texas.
Nothing like SEC fraternity life.
I just don't think it's going to happen.
It means more.
I think a lot of these projections that we look at in college basketball, a lot of these, kind of super analytical services that people like myself sometimes cite, but others really refer to a lot, the Bart Torviks, the Ken Palms, various bracketologists. A lot of their rankings and methodology have preseason bias built in until February or what have you. And so I think you're seeing some of that as well. It's like some of these computer metrics haven't adjusted to the fact totally that Memphis stinks. And so
they're not any good.
Right. So I think at the end of the day, like I said, you got to beat Houston twice and really avoid any other kind of bad loss to have a case for an at-large. So, I mean, in all likelihood, it's going to take Memphis winning the AAC tournament, I would think, at this point, for them to be in. We've seen them in this position recently and in the recent past, and last year they were real close against Houston, but I think they're going to lose more along the way this year, and it's not going to come down to just a single game against Houston. It's literally going to be, you probably got to beat that team twice. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how high Houston stays, because they're navigating life without, Marcus Sasser and without Tremont Mark, and they've done it pretty well to this point, but, we'll see if they can kind of keep that trajectory going.
I want brutal honesty here. When you're looking at the AAC as a whole, you look at Houston at the top at 4-0. We understand them. They're a top 10 team. But then you look at some of the teams we thought would be around. Wichita State 0-4 in conference, only 9-7. UCF 2-3 in conference, 10-5. Cincinnati with 2 losses in conference already. What wins actually mean something outside of Houston?
You got to go on the road and win at Cincinnati. Memphis did win at Wichita State. That's a decent win by the AAC standards. But Houston's the golden goose. If you can beat them, that's about it. That's really the only one that's going to be a quad one win for you, for the most part. If you win on the road against UCF, right, that would have been a quad one, but you don't win that one. And they're falling now too. So we'll see. And now, the reality for the future too is that the teams that are top 2 in the net right now from the AAC are Houston and Cincinnati. And in the long run, they're not going to be part of that conference. And the teams that you're replacing them with are not that great. UAB is in the top 50 of the net right now, and they're coming in right. But other than that, it's not. Well, the teams that you're bringing in are not as good as the teams that you're losing. So it's not a good situation for the AAC from a basketball standpoint, really, at all right now.
Here's one nationally that I think we have to keep eye on. It is certainly apocryphal with everything going on with Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. Today, this morning, on January 17th, Georgetown, 211 net ranking. It's over at Georgetown. It's over for Pat Ewing there. That's going to be some kind of sad and some kind of ugly. That's one we've got to watch in Memphis.
Yeah, because when you are the legendary former player, I think you probably get a little bit more time. I think we're going to see that in Memphis. I think if it were any other coach under these circumstances, the hot seat talk would be pretty dominant right now around Penny Hardaway in Memphis. Just looking objectively at the results, especially compared to the expectations. But given what he means to the city, the leash will be longer. I think it was the same way for Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. And of course, he was buoyed last season by their improbable late run. And that's the kind of thing that Penny Hardaway needs, is a surprising run through the league tournament, getting hot late, and it kind of bringing new life to the program. The unfortunate problem for Ewing was that the player who sparked that run for them in a lot of ways was Qudus Wahab, their center last year, and then he went to the portal and went to Maryland, which hasn't really worked out for him. So it's just like, an unfortunate situation there where Ewing looks like he had stolen some momentum back, and now he's given it all away. So I think in the long run, having that standing and that history with the school helps as a former player. But then, when it does collapse, it sometimes does so in very, very ugly fashion.
Mm-hmm. And another one, Juwan Howard at Michigan, 7-7, 1-3 in Big Ten play. Where are you on Michigan right now? I know they have a chance to get some premier wins down the stretch in Big Ten play, but they have not shown the ability to do so.
Yeah, I think they're just a terrible shooting team, and they're also pretty young by Big Ten standards. They're relying on more freshmen than really anyone else in the Big Ten, and so that I think has come back to haunt them a little bit because they were a veteran team last year. I still think Juwan Howard's a pretty good coach, so I think in the long run their program's going to be fine. But this year, I don't know. The NCAA tournament thing is starting to look pretty unlikely for them. So the Big Ten, obviously, tons of opportunities to get quality wins, but they just can't shoot it. And so that's going to continue to hurt them because they've got some good interior talent, but the lack of perimeter shooting makes them a tough team to watch on a night in, night out basis.
All right, in the SEC, your Vols got hammered this weekend, and they got beat pretty good. 107-79. They turned the ball over 20 times. Kentucky shot really well. Was that just sort of the perfect storm where Kentucky had a great game offensively and Tennessee was struggling, or do you think that there's a overarching sort of plot there from what we saw from Tennessee?
No, the overarching plot from that game is Kentucky's legitimacy. And Tennessee shot 53% from the floor and had their largest margin of defeat against Kentucky since 2010. I bet most of the times that they've played since then, Tennessee has not shot 53% from the floor. So just a really impressive game by Kentucky. I think Kentucky and Auburn, they're playing on Saturday on CBS. That one is going to be a ton of fun because you're talking about Ty Washington going up against Jabari Smith, two of the best freshmen in the country, probably the two top candidates for freshman of the year in the SEC. Kentucky is really good, and I am always hesitant to buy the hype on Kentucky because they're Kentucky. And because everybody does, in some ways, what they do with Memphis. When Penny lands a good class, people just look at the recruiting rankings and just pencil them in. Okay, sure, top 10 team right there because, they had a top, 3 recruiting class in the country, so they're automatically going to be good. That's what people do with Kentucky. It doesn't always work that way. But what Cal did with this unit that's been so impressive is he finally figured out that it's got to be a mix. In college basketball, he used to run the sport with bringing in the top freshman classes. You can't do that anymore because teams are getting older and getting better. And so, he goes and brings in Kellen Grady, who's shooting like 45% from three. He brings in Xavier Wheeler, who's one of the nation's leaders in assists, who had played at Georgia for 2 seasons, and he gets older and gets better that way, and then he mixes freshmen in, which is what the best teams in the country do now. It's what Baylor and Gonzaga did last year. So Kentucky's finally hit on that roster formula, and they are looking good. They should be higher than 12, which is where they are in the AP poll this week. And frankly, I think Auburn and Kentucky are 2 of the top 5 teams in the country right now. And if I had an AP ballot, they would be. So I would have Auburn at number 1. I would have Kentucky at probably about number 5. So they're really good. I think the SEC has 2 legitimate national title contenders in Auburn and Kentucky.
Auburn got more first-place votes, but it worked out to second place with overall tabulating of the Associated Press voters today. Gonzaga back number 1. David, do you suspect some of the Auburn voting is to show Bruce Pearl, and people think Bruce Pearl is gotten away with stuff?
Isn't it interesting, the coaches poll, same situation, Gonzaga 1, Auburn 2, but in the coaches poll, I definitely saw exactly what you're talking about because it was 23 first-place votes for Gonzaga and 8 for Auburn. Whereas in the AP poll, like you said, Auburn had more first-place votes. Well, who are the people out there that kind of have it out for Bruce Pearl? It's his peers, it's his coaches, so the fellow coaches. So he's got
because he's out snookering them.
Yeah, that I think leads those coaches to say, you know what, we're not going to put Auburn number one when there's a viable alternative there in Gonzaga. I was kind of bored with Gonzaga getting back to number one because it was inevitable that they would return to number one at some point this season, just because the teams around them are going to lose, and they're not going to lose because they play in the West Coast Conference. So, like, we knew that eventually, just via attrition, they would get back to number one. So I was like, why not give Auburn their moment to be number one for the first time in program history? And, if a couple of voters who, maybe had looked past their bias, as you described, Brett, I think they would be number one. But when you got folks out there who have Auburn at number 9, when they're 16-1 and on a 13-game winning streak and looking as good as they are, it's not really a fair fight. So it's
David, when I look at when I look at Gonzaga and what Mark Few has built, I applaud it. The few times I've been around him, just one of the really nice, decent person. That's why last summer when he had the driving infraction, I defended it. Nobody hurt. I guarantee it won't happen again. I thought he deserved that pass. Then on the floor, there was a time where the Tiger program was far and away over Gonzaga. And I suspect if we could go back in time and without some powerful forces here that sabotaged and just torpedoed the hiring of Scott Drew here after John Calipari, that if Scott Drew had gotten that job in the spring of 2010, he could have had Memphis poised to be right where Gonzaga, where they are right now.
Well, yeah, because at Memphis, he could have done all along what he is just now doing at Baylor, which is, start to recruit that top-flight, top-tier talent. Because the national title that he built at Baylor was not built with the 5-star guys like Kendall Brown and Jeremy Sochan like you see coming in there now. It was built with a lot of homegrown talent. It was built with transfers from the low major level, and it was a true, program build. So that's, what Scott Drew and Mark Few have done in college basketball is really the prime blueprint of a championship program. It's in many ways the Alabama of college basketball, where every once in a while you'll see a team like LSU come out of nowhere, build a really great roster for 1 year, and then sort of return to the pack. In college basketball, you see the same thing, but now you've got Gonzaga and Baylor that are consistently going to be there at the top because it's been a program build. So it's a changed formula, and sure, Scott Drew absolutely could have brought that to Memphis and had more talent along the way. So it's it's interesting to look back on those things in hindsight, because the job that he's done at Baylor is just, remarkable considering the status of that program when he inherited it.
What did you think about their last week? Two losses at home, Tuesday versus Texas Tech, Saturday versus Oklahoma State. Did that do anything to sort of deter you from believing in them?
Not really. I think in the long run, they're maybe just closer to what we thought they were in the preseason, which is like, a fringe top 10 team, still really good. But, remember also that on their way to the national championship last year, they actually had a similar lull late in the season. They didn't lose consecutive games at any point, but they did kind of slip after their 18-0 start and suddenly look a lot less dominant. But then once they got into the NCAA tournament, they were able to turn it back on again. So I'm not concerned about Baylor in the long run. The Big 12 is super brutal. I think my takeaway from Baylor losing those 2 games to Texas Tech and Oklahoma State is just the way to defend Baylor is to have long, athletic, and physical wings, because Baylor's guards, and this was true last year, it's true again this year, they're not real big. James Akinjo, Adam Flagler, LJ Cryer, all 6'3" or smaller. And none of those are particularly, they're not Desmond Bain built like, I would say. They're more jaw built like. So it's the way to defend them is to be physical. If you've got 6'6" wings that you can put on those guards, you might be able to give them a little bit of trouble. But I don't know that every team on their schedule is going to be able to replicate that like Texas Tech and Oklahoma State were. So I think Baylor will be fine in the long run.
He is David Cobb from CBS Sports at David W. Cobb on Twitter. David, always appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thank you. See See y'all.
Thank you, David. Great stuff. David Cobb with us every Monday talking college football and college basketball. Happy New Year from everyone at All-Star Chevy. And if you're ready for some car and truck shopping or ready to sell any vehicle and you want to sell it today, All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch is where you want to be. All the Silverados, Tahoes, Suburbans, and Blazers rolling into Olive Branch right there at All-Star Chevrolet right off Highway 78 at Kraft Goodman Road. Just ask for Kevin or Jeff or Drew or any of the great team at All-Star. They'll show you all the choices that are in the pipeline, and they're rolling in fast. So try to get down to All-Star this week. All-Star Chevy, they've been spot on getting all the best 21s and 22s you can imagine and all the colors you want. 0% financing is available, and your good credit, it deserves that. Go to allstarautogroup.com and look at all the pre-owned and certified pre-owned Chevys, Silverados, Tahoes, and Suburban, and go big. Check out the Corvette Stingray. If you want to sell any car or truck and get a check today, remember, it's not South Haven, it's not Collierville, it's not Mount Moriah, it's not the Pike. It's got to be Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. So find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch or go to allstarautogroup.com.
When we come back, Super Wildcard Weekend, we have a lot to discuss. We'll talk about all the games, recap them, and also get those Cowboy hate texts in. Get them in. We want to see them all. Brian Dacus surely wants to see them all at the
It'll make you feel better.
Listener line, 901-360-8255. You can also message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. You're listening to Sportstime with Game and Stats.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
It's a brand new year.
And yet still here you are.
And now I'm not saying that you should make New Year's resolutions.
But if you did, they should all have something to do with Central Barbecue, right?
You think I'm so predictable?
That's because you are.
I could have been about to say anything.
As long as anything by me telling people to go to Central Barbecue.
Well, yeah.
See, predictable. Still, we do love us some Central Barbecue.
Exactly. So people should resolve to spend plenty of time at one of the 4 locations of Central Barbecue this year.
You know what? You're right.
And you said I was predictable.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hey, you're not Pete.
Hey, Jeff Allen, it's a new year, and that means time to make your customers happy in 2022 at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Happy is easy to do with our great savings. I've got a take your pick that will knock your socks off. How about a 2022 Kia Forte LXS or a 2022 Kia Sportage, your choice, $199 per month.
Forte's $27.99 due at signing, and Sportage is $34.99 due at signing. Plus, all Gossett Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty program.
Plus a 2022 Kia Sorento 350 $359. Only $34.99 due at signing, and all 36-month leases. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36 month leases, 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Portage, N702, 7277, MSRP 25,460, Forte, NE 44, 2833, MSRP 21,980, Sorrento, NGO 990119, MSRP 35,340. Includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, plus finance through KMF, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/3/2022, dealer stock only.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, where we've got more ways to get you what you need your way. Get the job done today with our free same-day store pickup. Just order online and pick it up the same day at your local AutoZone. Or get it done tomorrow with our free next-day delivery. Just order on AutoZone.com by 10 p.m. and we'll deliver it to you the next day. Getting your job done just got easier. Free next-day delivery and eligible orders. Restrictions at AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Just a quick look ahead at the rest of the day here on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats. Right here in this segment, we're going to talk about Super Wild Card weekend and sort of recap some of the action that we saw. We still have some news to get to about the Tigers. Tigers football has just hired an offensive coordinator. We will discuss that. 5 o'clock, we get to Monday Night Football preview and pick our Big Four for the wild card game with the Cardinals versus the Rams. Big NFC West sort of matchup right there. And then 5:25. Very excited for this. Calvin Austin III will join us live from Texas. He is at Exos in Texas training for the Senior Bowl Pro Day and the Combine, if he does indeed get the invite. But that's a good outline for the rest of the day and what we're going to discuss. AutoZone listener line is open, 901-360-8255. Text us your questions, comments, concerns in there. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. We'll start in order of when these games occurred. And it started on Saturday with the Raiders and Bengals at 3:30. And the Bengals snap one of the most historical playoff win droughts in the history of the NFL. They win 26-19, and it's the first playoff win since 1990 when Boomer Esiason was the quarterback and they were playing the Houston Oilers.
So long ago that post-game for NBC, and I retweeted a picture of it, O.J. Simpson interviewed the victorious coach, Sam Weiss, and the victorious quarterback, Boomer Esiason, and he had on those gloves.
No, he didn't.
Well, they
Not
weren't
those.
those
I think
gloves.
I think you're assuming, Brett. You're assuming.
Go to the picture.
Gloves didn't
compare them side by side, and another guy on Twitter did. It was those gloves.
Speaking of which, we got
where Cato Kalin was that day.
We got an OJ
somewhere, I'm sure.
Hello Twitter World tweet from over the weekend.
Yeah.
He was recapping all these games, so that's always fun. Bryant was listening to it before the show.
It's mainly
I could
the Cowboys,
immediately tell it was OJ Simpson.
Hey, Twitter World.
I'm just saying.
Was it good analysis or was it over the top?
Well, seeing as I'm still upset. I'm still mourning.
OJ was a great analyst in the day, guys. He was.
Let me say this: if it's OJ Simpson, it's over the top, just because it's OJ Simpson.
Yeah,
he does like doing things so people listen.
I cannot believe this guy has no shame. He's out on the Twitterverse getting followed by 100,000+ people.
Twitterverse. Do you think OJ is going to be part of the metaverse?
I have no idea. He
might
own
OJ running around in the metaverse.
He owns a plot of land in the metaverse.
But I will admit, and I haven't done it in a while, I would dip in and just see what's going on in the world of Odge every now and then.
Now, yeah, let's move on from OJ. That's enough. That's enough OJ for a Monday. The big thing I saw from this game, Joe Burrow is so good at football. I mean, he is so good at situational quarterbacking. And Brett, that ball he threw to C.J. Uzomah over the middle of the field on a seam route was one of
at his ear.
He threw it right over the defender's left shoulder. I have never seen a ball placed as well as that. Maybe Aaron Rodgers can do that at that level, but
Stafford made a throw on Monday night against Arizona. It was similar.
Joe Burrow
on an out route. Cooper Kupp.
Matt Stafford can do it. Patrick Mahomes can do it. But what Joe Burrow has done with this team that had little to no expectations coming into this year. He has proven his worth as a top quarterback in the National Football League.
What do you draft if you're Cincinnati? Do you fortify the offensive
lineman? Offensive line. He was the most sacked quarterback this year. If you take that pressure off of him, who knows how much better he can get?
Well, he's so good. I think if you get him one more talented weapon,
well,
hey Joe, fend for yourself and just get it to those playmakers.
Let's be real about the situation though. T. Higgins caught for 1,000 yards. Jamar Chase caught for 1,400 yards. They have Tyler Boyd, who's about a 900-yard receiver. They have the weapons, in my opinion, already. Can they keep them on board for the same amount of money? That's the question you have to ask yourself. But O-line-wise, he needs more. They're okay at run blocking. Pass protection is a adventure every single time that Joe Burrow drops back. Luckily, he is the best quarterback under pressure in the National Football League, so it doesn't matter much. Jonah Williams, their left tackle out of Bama, I thought he was going to be a better pro. He hadn't been all that great. He's been okay at best. But I think they need
to be a lot better than that.
They need to improve their offensive line first and foremost. Then we can actually talk possible championship contender, because defensively, all the guys that when we were talking about this game, all the guys that I said would sort of step up and make big plays did. Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, Jesse Bates, all showed up really big for that defense.
And Zach Taylor it feels like almost a little bit like here in Memphis with Taylor Jenkins. Young guy coming of age with the right team.
I don't know how much I'm there with Zach Taylor yet, because that quarterback talent he has he's a generational guy.
Hard to mess up.
He's a generational guy.
John,
and he'll hide a lot.
Our quarterback for the Grizzlies pretty good too.
That's true. There's no question about that. But Cincinnati, new day, and I think that the side story of Joe Burrow living about, growing up about what?
Oh, it's great.
Less than 100 miles.
Stadium already named
away
after him at his high school.
From where he plays NFL
Gabe, that's
football.
what you need.
He's the hometown guy.
Brian, we need to start the campaign now for Gabe's high school stadium to be named after him.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that's great.
Well, honestly,
Gabe
we have a good
Stadium.
There's a good baseball program there at Lafayette, and Ryan Howard paid for the scoreboard one year. Ryan Howard, of course, of the Phillies for all those years, played for
MVP of the National League.
Lafayette. David Freese, Luke Voigt, and none of them have the name, so I don't think I'll get the name anytime soon.
And the reason why it would make someone mad, but you separated yourself. We need to start that push next year.
Start the petition. Get that petition out there.
You want the stadium or the field or both?
Honestly, and if we're being honest,
I want it all.
There is no football history from Lafayette High School besides
perfect.
I mean,
who would be the biggest tailback, wide receiver, quarterback ever? Who would be the biggest skill position player? Who would be your competition?
Yeah, because everyone loves a good skill guy.
Nobody you'd know. Nobody.
I mean,
where did they go?
And did well?
Nobody.
Anybody go to Notre Dame?
Nope. We had my buddy John Voigt went to Army.
Okay.
And he was the captain for Army's football team, so he would make a good case. Very strong case.
What position did he play, Gabe?
Defensive end.
Okay.
So he's up there. Good friend of mine still. And that's Luke Voigt's brother, believe it or not.
Oh,
wow. Very, very successful family, to say the least.
Gabe Kuhn Stadium at John Voigt Field.
Ooh,
okay.
I like that.
All right. Go get a petition ready, and we can do it. We can make that happen. But, yeah, that side story with Joe Burrow at home, basically, that's fantastic.
Do you know 100 years ago his daddy was at Ole Miss? His first 2 years was a defensive back at Ole Miss. His dad's from Amory, Mississippi or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then transferred to Nebraska.
Long-time football coach. That's a ball coach right there. That's a ball coach. He's been doing it a long time at this point. We moved on after that. The night game on Saturday was no fun. I was dead wrong in my picking. I said, it's hard to fit the run in 0 degree weather. It didn't matter. The Bills absolutely splattered the Patriots 47-17.
5-degree temperature, -6 wind chill. Those people look like they were out at Rehoboth Beach, Delaware on the 4th of July.
How about Mac Jones when he's talking to Josh McDaniels on the sideline, just looking at his breath and how visible it was? He wasn't worried
And
about
he's
looking
from Jacksonville,
at the play call.
Florida.
Yeah, he was in over his head in that weather.
But he didn't play defense. He wasn't great.
No.
He didn't play defense.
And the Bills in this game showed everyone something because they tossed a perfect game, 7 drives, 7 TDs. So they did all they could.
And did the same.
The question becomes, can they carry that momentum? But Josh Allen was too good, 21 for 25, 308, 5 TDs, 66 yards rushing. Brett, I have to have a talk with you. I remember your comment when we were ranking quarterbacks. You said he takes away from his team and gives.
Mm-hmm.
He gave a lot. I don't think he took away much. He was fantastic the other night.
Yeah, he was. He was really good. I'm gonna ride the against on Josh Allen though, and I'll be right one of these days.
One of these days,
we'll see. He was really good. Mac Jones though, we mentioned it, from Jacksonville. He just couldn't do it in that situation.
Patriots need a lot.
Moment was a little. It seemed a little too big for him. Moment really did seem a little too big, and a big off season for him. He had a good rookie year while Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick were sort of baby stepping him, to say the least. Next year he has to show a lot, and it has to be all up here. It has to be all neck and above.
Yeah,
for
because
him.
next year in that division where you're going to have Josh Allen back.
Hey, shout out.
You got to prove it year for Tua. You've got the second year for the Jets quarterback. So next year, Mac Jones is going to have to – it's got to be leaps and bounds better.
Yeah, shout out Dawson Knox, by the way, 2 TDs receiving.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Phil Longo.
He never did anything at Ole Miss.
Nope.
What's that about? And, yeah, it's Phil Longo.
High school quarterback, got to Ole Miss, couldn't find the right position, finally got him to tight end, and Phil Longo.
And Dawson Knox is a do-everything tight end. He can block. Big guy. Now to the Bucks and Eagles. Started off Sunday, 31-15 Bucks. Nothing really to see here. Bucks got up by 17 in the first half. The Eagles were not built to play from behind in any way, shape, or form. They couldn't run the ball when they were playing from behind.
No.
Tom Brady, 29 for 37, 271, 2 TDs.
It did not cost him the game, but early in that game, one of the worst calls of the weekend when Derek Barnett had the penalty for hitting Tom Brady in the hip.
And real quick, I shouldn't have moved past this so quick. The Bengals game was poorly officiated. Horrible. Jerome Boger in that referee crew, and I've seen Jerome Boger before. He's done a good job in the past. I've never had a problem with his refereeing crew, but he seems
a little hesitant.
They were awful. Everything was a conference at the middle of the field. Everything. Yeah. And not to mention the whistle being blown on the Tyler Boyd
clear.
TD
I heard
reception.
it in real time.
Yes, but very clear that Joe Burrow was inbounds. I don't even know how you would even.
Why do you have the whistle in your mouth?
Yeah, and the whistle got blown when the ball was basically in Tyler Boyd's hands.
Yeah.
So bad situation made
Did
worse
it
by the
freeze
referee.
the defense?
Huh?
Did it freeze the defense?
I think he was a little too far off. Anyway,
I
don't think he was going to make a play. But again, I mean, that TD shouldn't have counted. But I thought that would have been a bad call too. That would have been terrible for the Bengals to not get that touchdown. But that was, and they won't be. According to the NFL, Jerome Boger and his crew will not be refereeing for the rest of the playoffs.
They should.
And I don't think they should. But back to the Bucks and Eagles. Yeah, the Tom Brady and playoff refereeing. I mean, come on. This is a story as old as time, Brett. You shouldn't be surprised by that, right?
He hit him in the hip.
And later he got sort of hit in the head by an arm, and they called one. But that's sort of normal.
By a feather.
Yes. I'm curious about the Bucks going later into the playoffs. I sort of wonder.
I am too.
What they can get done because the run game was interesting.
Another play to kill Philadelphia was Peyton Barber from Auburn.
Oh, what
fielding
in the world
the kickoff at the 4.
He has had a tough NFL career. He has struggled. But the Bucks run game, I just don't know about them going deep in the playoffs. They need Leonard Fournette back. They need playoff Lenny going because Keyshawn Vaughn and Gio Bernard, while I like them as players, they can't get it done as your main 1-2 punch at running back. But we'll see how it is going forward. Mike Evans had a good game, though, 9 for 117 and a TD without Antonio Brown and Chris Godwin. He's going to have to pick up that production if they want to make a deep run this year. When we come back, we'll discuss the rest of this slate. We have the Cowboys and 49ers to discuss and the Chiefs and Steelers to discuss on the other side on Sports 56 98.5.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Bellyacre's motto is City-Fied Farm Fresh. The goal is simple: provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the whole family. 2 great locations, Regalia at 6130 Poplar and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Overton Square hours Sunday through Thursday 11A to 9P, Friday and Saturday 11A to 10P. Regalia Sunday through Thursday 10:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef. Sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. The burgers, so good, like the Daria or the Double Daria, and the melt in your mouth. And you have to try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand the Bellyacres team has developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the city. The goal at Bellyacres, to become even more sustainable as they grow. In Overton Square and in Regalia, the very best quality available in Memphis, burger shakes and smiles at Bellyacres.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Taco Bell presents a get-out-of-bedtime story. It's time to wake up from this amazing dream, even though you're jet skiing on lemonade. How extreme! And oh, look at that, you just won the lottery. Is that a castle? Take the keys, it's your property. What's better than swimming in space? Just wait for the big reveal. It's Taco Bell breakfast and it's actually real. So it's time to wake up and bid your dreams farewell. Because toasted breakfast burritos are waiting for you, only at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell locations near you during breakfast hours only.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Welcome back. So the Grizzlies seem like they're well on their way to another win, getting back on the winning side of things after that Friday night debacle versus the Mavericks. They're up 111-90 versus the Bulls, but there was sort of a scuffle that just broke out. Tony Bradley, of course, the center for the Bulls, sort of held up Ja Morant. They were going back and forth and looked like Tony did not want to let go of Ja. So Steven Adams stepped in and carried Tony Bradley off before they sort of broke up the little scuffle going on.
Just moved him right out of the situation.
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy.
He is.
And no, and for those that think
so
I'm kidding,
Bradley.
I mean, Steven Adams picked up that guy. He picked up Tony Bradley and just whisked him off. It was a funny situation. It's getting a little chippy, but 5:22 left. Grizzlies up 111-90. Now, back into Wild Card Weekend. Cowboys versus 49ers. We've sort of discussed this a little bit. It was the Nickelodeon game. Shout out Dak Prescott getting the MVP. The MVP.
Do you hang that banner?
Yeah, I think so. Mitch Trubisky accepted the award. That's not above Dak. That's not above Dak, right?
That's a tough one to win.
23-17 49ers. I wanted to push against the trendy pick, so I picked the Cowboys in this one. The trendy pick ended up being correct. Cowboys have now failed to reach the NFC Championship in 11 straight playoff appearances. Dak just was not good enough. O-line wasn't good enough. And here's the question I'm going to pose you before you give your sort of piece on this game. How many quarterbacks in the National Football League would have unbelievable success with what Dallas has? Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson even has come along.
That offensive line that is getting older, though.
Yes, they're getting older, but they've had their ups and downs. They've had some good games this year. They've played relatively well, and they stayed relatively healthy this year. They didn't stay completely healthy, but relatively healthy.
Let's don't go to the name brands. Let's go to the quarterbacks that have struggled in other places, and there might be a variety. I mean, would Daniel Jones be good there?
I don't know about that. That's tough. But
we're going a little far there.
I think when you look at
Sam Darnold,
yes,
I think he'd have some success more than Dak.
Would Tua?
That's
yes,
that's different. I still think Dak's a fine quarterback. He's just not ever going to. It just doesn't seem like he's the type of guy to get you over the edge.
Do there?
That's the name I brought up with.
Okay.
Brian to the break. I think Kirk Cousins would be good.
And I didn't know that. Okay.
I think Kirk Cousins would be genuinely good there. We're talking
what
about
would Baker Mayfield do there?
I think he'd be fine.
Oh yeah.
When you talk about top 15 quarterbacks and you talk about guys, think about if Joe Burrow had those type of weapons around him. Think about if Aaron Rodgers had that level of weapon around him. Think about
Jared
some
Goff?
of those. Jared Goff would have success with that much around him. You want to give Dak the benefit of the doubt.
Wow.
Dak's got $40 million. He's got that huge contract, and he has proven sort of time and time again that he's not going to get them over the edge.
What's a comparison to the Cowboys out there? Look, you and I, as I said last week, I say repeatedly through the years, I don't love them or hate them. I was kind of mostly for them yesterday because I know Jimmy G's nothing. I know he's nothing. He's Rex Grossman of this generation.
I think he'd do well with what the Cowboys have on the outside.
So what we know the Cowboys had some success. We know it's one of the gold standard franchises of American sport. When you just rattled off names, if you were trying to describe American sport to a tourist in Venice, you would bring up the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. They just hadn't won jack in 25 years. Who's close to that gold standard in American sport that it's been that long? There's one from college football. Notre Dame.
Yep. That's a good one. Too. I'm thinking of pro sports. Not really anybody else.
It would have been the Dodgers before they got their asterisk.
They won.
Bubble World Series.
They won, though. They won.
They did. 60 game sprint, but okay.
Mm-hmm. Lakers were getting there until their bubble win. Lakers were getting close.
Yeah, but they had done more.
They had done
the
more in
25 years.
There's no, I get you. But they were playing horribly. And they
Cincinnati Reds.
They're not on the Cowboys level when it comes to the MLB. They're just not there. But no, the Cowboys have they have a soul-searching situation to do in the offseason because Mike McCarthy, the QB draw, the end of that game.
UCLA in college basketball they've been in the wilderness a long time for championships.
14 seconds on the clock. And Dak and the coaching staff, and they all agree on a QB draw.
Horrible play call. You don't have time for that.
What in the world are we talking about?
That has to be vetoed.
And not to mention, you're down by 7. You're down by 6. You're down by 6. What is the point of doing that? You could throw the ball down the middle of the field. It would get there quicker. But to run all of that time off, not hand the ball to the official to place the ball, you have to have the official place the ball, Brett.
And they were not cheated.
That's an embarrassing in-game situation.
The ref spots the ball.
Now,
you can't spot it just wherever you want.
They cheated themselves.
I think there's a conversation, when you're talking about refereeing, there's a conversation to be had about the referee getting there a tad bit late. That's the only conversation we could have about it. But you have to hand the ball.
Well, heck, he was trying to. There he pushed Dak over.
You can't have the entire O-line, you under center, when the ref gets there. You have to give him space to go place the ball. That was just terrible, and it just sort of highlights what's wrong with that team. The reason I didn't pick them in the preseason to win the NFC East, even though they did end up winning it, is because of Mike McCarthy. He said after the game that they practiced that QB draw every week, and he was surprised they didn't get another snap. My question at that point becomes, if that's your late game situation, if that's what you want to happen in a late game, is Mike McCarthy the guy for you? I don't think so.
I keep waiting for every ping to be the update. He's been fired.
It's wild. Now, for the 49ers, they should scare any team, but they don't really scare me as far as a possible Super Bowl team because I just don't believe in Shanahan in big games or Jimmy G in big games.
I just don't trust a man with a flat bill on. I just don't.
Come on.
You got to have a curve in the hat. I just don't trust you if you don't.
Are you waging
That's a baseball thing.
Are you waging war against flat bills?
Not war. I don't want to go to war over
Okay.
it, but I just don't trust the flat bill. Flat bill and a bow tie, I just don't trust.
Me and Brian are coming in flat billed tomorrow. There's no question.
I don't know if I own a flat bill.
Last game on the schedule that we need to recap real quick. Not much to recap. Chiefs versus Steelers. Big Ben tried to warn us himself that they had no chance. They didn't have a chance. 42-21
Only
Chiefs.
man in that building I trust in a flat bill, and he looks good in it, and he's 49er fan, our man Darian Newsom.
Patrick Mahomes, 30 for 39, 404, 5 TDs and INT. TJ Watt did all he could, Brett. He did all he could to change the game. Tip ball turned into a pick, fumble recovery TD. He got a sack. But there was nothing that they could do. It sets up one of the biggest games next week, Bills versus Chiefs. They've actually released the schedule. In the AFC on Saturday, 3:30 will be Bengals versus Titans. The NFC will be the late game, 7:15, 49ers versus Packers. Sunday, early games NFC. It'll be obviously the winner of tonight's game, Cardinals and Rams at Tampa Bay. Then the late game will be that game, Bills versus Kansas City Chiefs, divisional round, Sunday Night Football. We'll be right back on the other side to discuss Monday night. We're going to discuss what's going to happen tonight between the Cardinals and Rams. We'll make our pick, and we'll also give you our big four defensive from each team right here on Sports 56, 98.5.
Looking for some action? Sports gambling is legal in Tennessee. Action247.com. Local, legal. A sportsbook by Tennesseans, for Tennesseans. Go to Action247.com. Register and place your bets. Are you a sharp or a first-time bettor? Action 24/7 has you covered. Visit us online at Action247.com. Local, legal. Action 24/7. You got action.
Problem gambling? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Psst. A secret to sticking with your goals? The right gear. That's why I went to Kohl's and got an Adidas hoodie for under $45, picked up some Nike sneakers, and got a new fleece from Tech Gear for just $12.99. Oh, I even got an extra 15% off and earned Kohl's cash. So I'll be going back for more. Shopping counts as cardio, right? Select styles. Adidas and Nike coupons do not apply. Ends January 17. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you are treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Final hour, we can't wait to visit with Tiger great Calvin Austin, so look forward to him at the Combine and then the draft and his NFL career. We know it's going to be spectacular. We look forward to visiting with him in this final hour. This hour brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road. They're so proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area at 5704 Goodman Road. Online at DeSotoAutosales.com. Go online, check out the referrals, and look at the beautiful cars. All the cars test-driven, thoroughly examined, bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And when you walk in at DeSoto Auto Sales, you'll be treated like family by a very kind, courteous staff. Down-home environment, no high-pressure sales, but they do care about your time, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. What is that exactly? We live in a world today that time really matters, so they want to make sure to keep it very, very simple and efficient for you. You walk in, test drive a car, credit approved, paperwork completed, you're out of there in 45 minutes or less. That's a guarantee. You can do it over your busy lunch hour. You can do it right now. You can leave the Grizzlies game right now and be in a new car from DeSoto Auto Sales by dinner time. DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
So, Grizzlies, Bulls, we have a final. 119-106. Grizzlies get the win, improved to 31-15. They're right there for third, tied for third. Well, they're probably a half game up now on the Jazz for third in the Western Conference. John Morant with 25, Desmond Bane with 25. Both had really good games. But good MLK Junior Day win for the Grizzlies, no question about it. Now, this out of the NFL, before we get to our Monday Night Football pick and preview. Raiders have just announced that their GM, Mike Mayock, was informed that he will not be retained. And this is from Ian Rappaport from the NFL. Obviously, John Gruden resigned in October. Mayock now out in January. And remember, like 4 years ago, he came out of NFL Network and
Great
signed.
analyst.
He was
Did Notre Dame games.
He was supposed to be the revitalization. He and John Gruden of that franchise. My gosh, that imploded itself this year.
It did, and it's going to get a lot of them. It's going to get Rich Bisaccia. I think they will, with the new GM, will want to start completely over. Why do you do that to the new GM, to not everybody start at the start line instead of maybe having to do that next year?
It's uncomfortable. And what happens, I think, now, when you bring in a new GM, new head coach like this, completely new thought process in an organization, you probably are building from the ground up. Does this mean Derek Carr may be moving? Does this mean some of the pieces they have on that roster right now may be moving? We'll see. because that's tough for them. There's no question about it. Now, tonight on these airwaves, we will have it on 560 AM, 98.5 FM, Monday Night Football, Wild Card Weekend style, Cardinals at Rams at 7. And these two teams met twice, split their season series, I guess, 1-1. Cardinals got them really good early in the year, 37-20. Rams came back, won 30-23 in the second matchup. And this sets up what I think will be one of the best matchups of the Super Wild Card Weekend.
Gabe, help me. They both won at the other's building, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They sure did. Yeah. And that first one, Cardinals.
How long does that last?
Cardinals butt whooping in SoFi. I mean, beat the Rams real good in SoFi.
What do you have this exact number as? I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Is it 3.5?
Exact number? It's 3 exact number, but I have it at 3.5.
We had the half, 3.5. Rams, 3.5 tonight at SoFi. So we got a crowd tonight. I assume that nobody will pull the plug on a real crowd tonight. Whether it's masked or not, I don't know. I don't know if it's optional or mandatory. But if you have a crowd tonight, what's the difference in 3 weeks?
I don't know. Brett, I don't know.
And so many of these questions are rhetorical. I knew the answer before I ask it. It's not fair to do you like that. I'm sorry for that, Gabe.
No. I don't know if anyone could give you that answer. That's just the truth of it. We'll see what happens. There's a backup of AT&T Stadium, but if it gets there in Dallas, I'm sure Dr. Dre and all the performers would probably not be there. It would be really bad if they have to move this thing last second, the Super Bowl.
And what do we call last second? Is it a week? We know a day and a half is last second, but
a week
because we're getting inside last second, are we? Mm-hmm. Last seconds. If this was the doomsday clock, I mean we're getting close to it hitting midnight.
I would imagine, and I know this has not been the case with COVID-19 as a whole, but a week is you have to know a week out if you're going to play in LA or not, right? I mean that should be understood. If they move it,
Newsom wants a lot of payback for that recall vote.
If there's some issues,
he's running hot over it.
Within a week out, and they have to move it to Dallas within a week from the game, that's embarrassing. Sorry, hate to say it. That would be
historically, if you take a swing at the king and you don't land it, king fires back.
Now Cardinals at Rams. Rams minus 3.5. First Monday Night Football wild card game. They split the season meetings, like I mentioned. Cardinals came in to these playoffs, losing 4 of their last 5. Rams won 5 of their last 6. So they're trending in opposite directions. But we know what the Cardinals did coming out this year. They were the last team to be undefeated. They really came out rocking and firing this year with Cliff Kingsbury.
They did. In 2 years in a row, that last team to remain undefeated really sputtered down the stretch. Last year it was the Steelers. This year
they were the fakest undefeated team I've ever seen.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my gosh, that was one.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Right.
And Arizona had flaws, for sure this year. But we'll see tonight. Now, what are you going to predominantly stay with as far as viewing tonight? Because tonight's the last Manning telecast.
Manning.
You'll watch that over the traditional. I'm not. I'm going to watch the traditional tonight because this is for real. This isn't the funsies of just a Monday night in October.
No, I understand that, but forgive me for wanting to see the guest list they have tonight. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Larry Fitzgerald,
no
their first
forgiving
guest.
necessary.
The Rock, their second guest, and then Russell Wilson is their last guest. I want to hear what Russell Wilson has to say about possible movement in the offseason. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So
yeah,
I really have enjoyed their Monday Night Football broadcasts.
I have too, but tonight I need that traditional broadcast tonight.
Right, because it is playoffs. It's for keeps.
Yeah.
It's for keeps now. It's not as lighthearted as it once
was. This isn't, that third Monday in October funsies.
All right, now let's go ahead and let's get to some picking. I want to start with Brian. Brian, what you got tonight?
I think I'm
2-4 on the weekend, Brian.
It's okay. You win some, you lose some. I think I'm going to go with the Rams. They'll cover in a close one.
And I cheated you one. You were 2-3. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So you're taking the Rams.
My winning percentage is a little better. Yeah.
Yeah. Take the Rams. Gabe, you were 3-2 this weekend.
I'm going to be 4-2 by the end of the night. Cardinals came out firing. but lost 4 of their last 5. Rams kind of sputtered to start the year. Matt Stafford was throwing some picks, had 4 or 5 straight games with a pick. But they have won 5 of their last 6. Odell Beckham Jr. has gotten used to Matt Stafford. They have enough weapons on the outside to get it done. Rams pass rush is really awesome. They have star power and Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey on that side of the ball. Cardinals will have no DeAndre Hopkins because of his MCL. James Conner and Chase Edmonds, both their running backs, have had nagging injuries. So conventional wisdom tells me Rams, so I'm just going to go with the conventional wisdom. Take the Rams -3.5.
Rams -3.5 for Gabe Kuhn. So if I take the Rams, that means group lock. This weekend we were 2-1 on group lock.
There we go.
We got there with Cincinnati and Tampa Bay. We missed on Dallas.
Yep.
On the season, 19-23 in the regular season on group locks, 5-5 during bowl season. So we're 4 under any way you slice it for group locks. Group lock, Rams. I was 4-1 this weekend.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I told you before the weekend, Brian, I hope I don't regret that Dallas pick. I regret it.
I regret being
I didn't. I think the personnel was wildly better than San Francisco's.
Never picking Cowboys again in the playoffs. Just can't do it. Can't do it to myself. Dak's becoming like the oatmeal of NFL quarterbacks. And what I mean by that, for breakfast, oatmeal gets you through, just like Dak gets you through the regular season, but it never excites you. Never does anything. You never say, I had a good bowl of oatmeal this morning.
Well, I got another example other than oatmeal. Tony Romo. That's what he's become.
Right.
Whoa. You're taking a swing at a Cowboy great.
And how about this? You did say you like Tony Romo more than Dak Prescott.
I like a lot of people better than Dak Prescott. So that doesn't say
Not Andy
that
Dalton,
say
not
much.
Red Rocket. So you're not Cooper Rush.
I do like the Red Rocket. I don't know as much as
Romo's
Dak.
cheering yesterday? That was unabashed.
Yeah, it was a little much, but hey, as a Cowboys fan, I didn't mind it.
I'm sure you didn't. He was being extra, Brett. I almost switched over to Nickelodeon for that, though.
I did too.
It was close. Although who announces the Nickelodeon game? Do we know?
Well, it was Nate Burleson, and then some
it was
girl
Nate
who's
Burleson
on it on Nick.
How about Collinsworth's son? Part of the broadcast crew now.
Yeah,
it has been all year on Sunday night.
Yeah,
I hadn't noticed until that's wild. I hadn't noticed until
he's good.
Now I don't go to their pregame much
because he does pregame and post, right?
Yeah. I'm staying with the late finishing game, and I'm still. This is an '80s thing. I'm still predisposed to go to ESPN for highlights and stuff. That was a kind of a Chris Berman, Tom Jackson '80s, '90s thing. Those years that Olbermann was on the Sunday night show, I just could. I never could watch. I just never got used to watching the Sunday night show because I'm not watching that lunatic in anything.
You have to. Shouts out to Chris Collinsworth. He gets sort of unfairly picked on. I think he's a good commentator, and he's a businessman too. PFF. He started Pro Football Focus. Got his son out there now. He's done a good job.
And did you know something only you and I know, Gabe? That Chris Collinsworth has a record in the SEC that will never be broken.
What?
He threw, yes, Chris Collinsworth, the wide receiver, holds a record. I think there's a couple others now tied with him. He threw a 99-yard touchdown pass when he was in college at Florida.
Was it a double pass? How'd they do it?
Yeah, double pass.
So he dropped back in the backfield?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. There you go. Now, I know I just praised him for having Pro Football Focus. I'm not a big Pro Football Focus guy.
I was about to say, you hate Pro Football Focus.
I'm not a big fan.
I've never been 1 second.
Brett, it's advanced metrics. It's the eye of the beholder for them because they have guys that supposedly watch every play of every game, which I don't really fully believe, but they sort of have the arbitrary stats that they accrue.
Now, the Ole Miss world thinks Pro Football Focus was rough on Matt Corral all year. Were they? Are they?
Kenny Pickett's their guy. Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, they love. Desmond Ritter, they like Desmond Ritter too.
Did they watch the Ole Miss game against Liberty?
I don't know. Well, they say they do. They say they watch every play of every game, Brett. That's what they say. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were hard on Matt Corral because they seem to be hard on a lot of people. Now, we have our top 4 from this year's teams on the Rams and the Cards. I'll start with the Rams, and this is easy number 1 and number 2, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald.
And it also highlights it's go for it time for the Rams.
It's been go for it time. They don't have any draft picks left. They just have none.
Aaron Donald's everybody's one. He's my one in Rams history.
How many years do you think this window's open? 2 or 3? 2 or 3 years,
yeah,
I'd say it's open. And then if they have injuries to some of these guys, who knows? Aaron Donald, number 1. Jalen Ramsey, number 2. 3 and 4 were interesting because Von Miller hadn't played all that well. I give him a nod at number 3, though, just to sort of be fair. He's starting to get his footing under him with the Rams, but he hasn't been that great. 4, I go their leading tackler, Jordan Fuller, their strong safety.
Wow. I go 1, Aaron Donald, 2, Jalen Ramsey, 3, Leonard Floyd, 4, Von Miller.
And Leonard Floyd was close.
I went Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. I put Jordan Fuller number 3, and then I went Von Miller number 4.
Jordan Fuller had a really good year. Leonard Floyd, I felt bad. He got drafted by the Bears out of college and then had the neck injury, real bad neck injury. And he's found himself, though, I think 11.5 sacks this year.
But that's a go for it now, all of us, all our foursomes.
Mm-hmm. Now, Cardinals were a little different.
Hard.
They've had some guys off the field for extended period of time, and I still put him.
J.J. Watt in there?
No, he wasn't. He hadn't played. Although, speaking of which, thanks for reminding me to bring this up. Activated. He will play tonight.
Hey.
Yeah.
That makes me sick to my stomach, Brett. It just makes me wonder how much longer he has. If he
hope he doesn't get hurt.
He's already hurt. We're talking about a torn bicep, a torn labrum, a torn rotator cuff that he'll be playing on tonight. But number 1 for me, I go Budda Baker. He's made himself a heck of a player. Number 2, when he's on the field, which he hasn't been as much in past years, Chandler Jones. Still one of the premier pass rushers in the league. 3, Byron Murphy Jr. Don't know if a lot of people know about him, but he leads the team in passes defended, has become a really good defensive back. And 4, and this may be a little biased because I thought he was going to be really good out of Clemson. First year, not great. Second year, he has been really good. I go Isaiah Simmons at number 4.
I have Simmons as my 4. Baker 1, Jones 2, just like you, Gabe. Jalen Thompson 3, Isaiah Simmons 4.
Jalen Thompson led the team in tackles, correct? Their strong safety?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He was close.
I went Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Jordan Hicks, and then Isaiah Simmons.
Jordan Hicks has done a good job there, too. He's been
he's played really well this
in
year.
the NFL for all.
Y'all help me this. I want
years.
the textures to help as well. We know Jerry Jones, and I understand it. He gets a lot of publicity. Other than Jerry Jones, maybe Bob Kraft, are there any other owners in the NFL that as soon as their team does anything good or bad, the camera immediately goes to them? Jones and maybe Kraft. Is it anybody else?
Davis?
Have we ever seen a picture of the Vikings owner?
No, but they get the most scrutiny. There's no question. But I think Mark Davis gets shown quite a lot.
Yeah,
Mark Davis is a pretty known owner.
I think Mark Davis would be 3. I agree.
Yeah.
Do we even know? Does Stan Kroenke ever
No,
get
he doesn't.
the passing photo?
It bothers me too. Because
He's probably not at the games.
Well,
is the reason why.
There's so many negative things you could bring up about that guy. There's so much.
Excuse me, Bob Kraft. Negative.
Well, yeah. Jerry Jones too, to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Not on that Bob Kraft level.
I mean, do we ever see the Cardinals owner ever?
No.
Cowboys score straight to the booth. The shot of Jerry Wayne and the grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And yesterday, Memphis and Jimmy Counts.
But how much of that is asked by Jerry? Jerry likes
0.
What? Jerry likes being in the public light. Jerry's been that way. Jerry
you think
makes
he encourages it?
Yes, I do. I really do. Over his career, he has. I don't know about nowadays, but I think it's just so ingrained now with NFL media to be critical of Jerry Jones, to talk about Jerry Jones.
Would we know what the Carolina Panthers owner looked like in a 2-man lineup?
Brett, I'd want to know this. What other owner in the NFL does a weekly spot with local radio? What other owner gets in front of a podium every single week to discuss?
I think that ESPN station he joins, I think Cuban owns it, doesn't he?
I wouldn't
be surprised.
But no, you could say Jerry doesn't necessarily ask for it, but I think over his career, what he's done.
Well, he also did the draft from the yacht.
Yeah, he is
from the submarine.
I think he's asked for it. He's asked for it in other ways. There's a reason that people are always hounding and talking about Jerry Jones. as the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, it's time to get to our break. And when we come back, special guest, Calvin Austin III, former teammate of mine, good friend, will join us live from Exos in Texas, where he is training for his pro day for the Senior Bowl, for possibly the Combine. We will discuss all of the goings-on with him when we come back on Sports Time.
You have opinions?
The knowledge that I have matters.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Hi, I'm Troy Fivesh, owner of Fivesh Roofing. Sunday, today and today only. And for the first 50 callers. These are things you will never hear me say in my ads. Because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you don't need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get someone's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. 5S Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service, and I do it for a fair price, why would I need gimmicks? Best products, best warranties, and the best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. 5S Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5S Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5S Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. You know, between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now? In the future?
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Thank you, Brett. We are here and we're making it. I have to say a big thank you to all of our customers that ordered food during the curbside days, bought gift certificate when times were slow, ordered food to be shipped from our shipping kitchen, and then came back down to eat when our doors reopened. We owe a debt to the Memphis and surrounding community for supporting us when we need it. I hope y'all all come eat some barbecue with us, but I also hope you'll support our local restaurants. And if your service is a little slow or an item isn't on the menu that you enjoy, cut them a little slack. Hopefully it'll be there soon.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you for feeding all of us, and we will take that advice to heart.
Brett, we also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes the mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Special guest coming on right now, good friend of mine, former teammate, Calvin Austin at Can't Catch Cal on Twitter. Calvin, what's happening, man? How are you?
What's up? I'm doing great.
Yes.
How are y'all?
We're doing well, man. When you just finished up workouts for the day, huh?
Yes, sir. Just finished up workouts. We usually have about 2 or 3. We usually have 2 or 3 throughout the day, so we usually end around 4 or 5.
So is it weight training, then running, and then calisthenics and stuff like that, or what's your day look like right this second? You're in Frisco, Texas, right now at Exos.
Yes, I'm in at Exos in Frisco. So our day is usually it usually covers everything. So in the morning we usually have some type of run focus, whether that's a shuttle or 40 or something. Right. And then we usually have a position drill type work after that. And then in the evening we'll come back and either have like a lift in a rehab session.
Calvin, how many times have you been told, and how many times you have to remind yourself daily that now until draft, this is your job. This is my job. This is what I have to do every day.
It's honestly, I kind of, when I the first week, I just kind of took it all in and just thought about it and was like, like how like blessed I am to have this be my job right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like to not have to worry about school or anything, just to wake up and it all be about football and just really getting better as a all around player. So, I honestly wouldn't have it any other way, and I'm just super thankful and blessed to just be doing this right now.
Right, and I know this last year at Memphis, it was just a long process for you. You had ankle injuries throughout the year. Sort of take us through that. How is your ankle feeling now? How are you feeling in general before the Senior Bowl and before all of the pro day festivities, combine, everything else?
I'm feeling great now. During the season, it definitely was, something that was tough and something I had to battle with physically and mentally because knowing that this was my last season and, we had a lot of big games at the end and stuff, I would have loved to be 100% and be able to, do all that I know that I can do. But, it was great to have the coaches and the players and, my teammates support me and stuff. And just each week it was never any, pressure or anything like that. But just to have everybody around me be so supportive, that definitely made it easier. But it was something that I definitely had to battle with because, it was each week just trying to get it back to the best it can and be ready for the game. But, you know how games are. It's easy. You're going to be getting hit. You're going to have to make those full speed cuts. So it's just something that I had to just battle with. But like I said, with my teammates and my coaches, they made it a lot easier.
Right, and I know from experience with ankles, I've had this, to sit out during the week of practice. You miss reps, so you're not even 100% like mentally going into the game. It's always frustrating, man. But you definitely persevered through.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, I've talked to Brett off the air about this, but your first day on campus, when I met you, when you were around Anthony Miller, all them guys, you are a completely different player than now. I mean, you have come a whole long way, and I think half the battle for you is like when you were at Memphis, trying to earn the opportunities on the practice field and everything else. How long did that take, and how hard was it to sort of earn the opportunities to be able to show who you were?
That was definitely a process. First getting on campus, I kind of had a humbling experience just from realizing that I got a lot of work to do and a long way to go if I want to be able to be where I want to be. And obviously, I'm like most high schoolers. I'm coming in. I'm like, okay, I felt like I should be one of the faster players on the team. So if I don't play right away, I must for sure be used in packages or something right off the bat. And obviously, you know how that turned out.
Right.
So it was definitely, I had to really just start over it, kind of like I would say that I just had to start working on my hands, catching the ball better. I had to learn about running routes, stemming and stuff like that. So I really started. I started from ground zero, and just in that whole process, there were good days, there were bad days, there were days where I would call my dad after practice and just be super mad or just frustrated just with either the reps or how I was performing, and so it was just having to constantly battle with that, but realize the bigger goal and obviously just set goals and work to achieve them. And once I had that lined up, it honestly became fun, just knowing that, okay, I'm out here or I'm traveling with the team and I'm like and I'm the only guy that's not on scholarship. I started to take pride in that and stuff. And so I would say that 2019 year when I was put on scholarship, I didn't even think about me or myself being a walk-on or a non-scholarship player. I'm taking reps with the ones and twos and stuff, and and I've just been in the way and on the in the conditioning, leading and everything like that. So I never saw myself at that point. I stopped viewing myself as a walk-on or non-scholarship guy, and I just felt like I belonged and kept on trying to improve and do everything I can to just keep on improving. And really that helped the most because my focus wasn't on earning a scholarship. My focus was on becoming a better player and just and getting out there and making plays for the team.
And Calvin, you did that, and I bet your entire football journey, whether it was youth football, little league football, to junior high, to Harding Academy, and now the challenge. Look, there's a place for players that aren't Gabe's size. You better have some speed, and you better have good hands, and you have both of those. But I bet the entire football journey for you has been a rock fight. You've had to prove it and prove it and prove it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think if I'm my freshman year of high school, I was my mom kind of had some concerns about me playing because I was so small. I think
What'd you weigh?
I was like 5'6", 120.
Dang.
Something like that.
Wow.
5'6", 125. Yes, I was very small, and we had our starting corner was a senior. He had got hurt in the first or second game of the season, and he was out for the season. So at that size, I was the starting cornerback playing varsity. And so obviously when they had said that was coming up, my coach had talked to my mom and my dad and stuff, and that told them that, like, I'm going to be playing and stuff like that. So then now I'm like backup receiver too, getting in the games. And even from that point, it was always, that I was the smallest guy out there on the field. But it's like crazy when I go back and think of it. I never I never feel like I am. I always feel like I can do whatever it takes when I'm out there on the field. So and I honestly feel like going in there with that mindset, it gives me a little edge.
Right.
Because I'm like, you know what? I'm the smallest guy out here, and I'm still doing my thing. So I'm gonna just keep on, working and trying to show guys up.
Calvin, I will guarantee you in ninth grade that coach told people, my best tackler weighs 126 pounds.
Exactly. And you know what? That's one of the main things that, like, they would have guys that will run my way and everything like that. But that would shock everybody. They'll be like, you're not scared. Like, I'm going up making tackles. Like, it's really, that's the biggest thing, is just that not having fear. And so, when I'm on the field, I never have fear. I just go out there and just play, because it's fun. So
right. So it's interesting too. How, like, during your process through the University of Memphis, like, I came in, I was probably the last guy in a recruiting class, but I was a scholarship guy. How did you sort of keep those negative thoughts out of your head? Oh, am I ever going to play here? Am I ever going to be able to participate? Are they going to give me those opportunities? How did you keep those thoughts out of your head, or were you able to? Did you have to fight through some of those?
Yeah, I was about to say, it wasn't a matter of, because they definitely came, and I always say, so I didn't keep them out. It was a matter of whether I was going to let those thoughts affect my play, my work ethic, my mood, So those at the beginning, it definitely, my whole dream was going to play in the NFL. So getting to college and being redshirted and having to do all and see where that I'm not really where I need to be to even play at a collegiate level really makes take a step back and have to look at everything. But I never let it affect when I would go out there and work and do anything like that. And I didn't let it. And even when those thoughts would creep in,
it's about channeling it. It's about channeling it.
Channeling it. Yeah, exactly. I'm about to say I channeled that into the work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't let it overtake me. I just channeled that and say, you know what? Well, what do I need to do? But I said, what do I need to do to get on that level or to be where I want to be? So it was just about a matter of like you said, channeling it.
And Calvin, I mean, you've seen, especially with walk-ons at the University of Memphis, just in general in college football, you've seen those type of thoughts sort of kill dudes, make them transfer out, make them never really play football again.
Yeah, definitely. And, that's what just I know talking to the younger guys now, that's one of the main things I like telling them, like, you got to expect that you're going to have bad days, maybe bad weeks, bad practices stacked on top of each other. But, there's always, you're in control of you. So, yeah, you can have some bad days and bad practices, but how are you going to how are you going to respond and show up the next day? Are you going to show up like, you know what, I'm done, I really don't even want to be here? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to attack it again and try to get better?
Mm-hmm.
Calvin, what 40 time, either in Indianapolis or on campus for pro day at the University of Memphis or tomorrow afternoon, if somebody puts the clock on you, what 40 time do you want to rip off consistently for them?
Consistently, anywhere I would be satisfied with anywhere, sub 4.34, somewhere around. So sub that.
I would be satisfied with that too.
Yeah. Have you guys been doing full 40s at Exos?
No, we haven't been doing full ones. We're just really
10 splits, 20 splits.
Technical, splits and stuff, and going over the starts and technical work like that. And so I'm really this is some of the stuff that, even though I ran track, some of my issues with running are more technical, So I'm just taking it all in, and I've learned a whole lot. And we've only been here for 2 weeks. And I've learned a whole lot. So,
right.
I'm really going out there. I set that as that's not a goal. That's kind of a minimum requirement, So I'm gonna go out there and just hopefully surprise myself with something too.
When was the last time you ran a 40? Curiously.
A true 40 was going into my junior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
It was at one of the opening, one of the regionals. It was actually in Texas.
Right.
And
that would have been laser time. For those that don't know, you have hand time, laser time. Hand time is way more forgiving. But so what did you hit on that one in high school?
I ran 4.38 then.
Nice.
That's pretty good, man. Junior year,
get you on the field.
I was a couple 30 pounds, 20 pounds lighter then, though. But, I had a little muscle since then. But that's why I said I hope I can put down something that may surprise myself.
You certainly, you think you've gotten faster since then, right?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing that time. There's no question about it. Now, what do you think you've improved upon most from your first day on campus at Memphis, and what do you think going into the pros? What have you heard that you need to improve on day one of the NFL?
What I've improved on the most is I could easily say my knowledge of being a receiver. Mm-hmm. There's so much things that go on during a play, before a play, that as a receiver you have to have down pat and be locked in on it. Coming in, I didn't have any clue or sense of what it's like. Some guys, when you first get in, you just got to know your route.
Right.
You got to know the play, where you line up in your route. Just that basic. But as you develop, and if you want to be a great receiver, that you have to look at the entire picture, and you got to know your opponent, what their tendencies are, all that stuff. So definitely my knowledge. And, what they kind of improve on is some of the basic things of, just coming out of breaks and just find details of route technique. And, I've definitely been working on that. We got a great position coach here, and we just, I'm one of those guys who would just get on YouTube and just watch stuff. So right. I just love to be a student of the game and just keep on learning. So that's one of the things that I say gives me a little edge, because I'm always trying to learn more.
Did you get to watch any ball this weekend? You get to watch most of it?
Yeah, watch some football, man.
Right.
It's being look, I'm in Frisco, so I'm 2 miles from the Star.
Right.
So it was a tough day yesterday.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who was your team growing up, Calvin? When you were a little guy, if you could ever, you dreamed of, boy, if I could ever put on that uniform. Did you have a team like that?
I'll say this: the Cotton Bowl was probably the greatest experience of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys for sure. I'll say that.
Playing there.
That's what I like to hear.
So, hey, of all the players right now, this is going to be the last thing for you, Calvin. We'll let you go after it. But of all the guys you see play, all these wide receivers in the NFL, whose game do you find yourself studying the most? Are there a few?
Oh, yeah. I study a whole lot. And it's not even guys that are – it's some guys that are around my size and my skill set, but it's some that's just for instance, I study Devontae Adams a lot.
Oh, yeah.
From his releases standpoint. obviously Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Hollywood Brown, guys like Deco Hardman too. I study a ton. Rondale Moore. I study Christian Kirk. I study a whole bunch of those guys because, even though some of them have the same skill sets, they all do certain things different, and you can tell that they have a great understanding of just like of their skill set and how to use it and apply it. So I just study all of that to just try to get as much information as I can.
So what's the next step in the process? We got Senior Bowl, Combine, Pro Day. When's the next move you're making from your workouts there in Frisco?
Yeah, so the next one would be the Senior Bowl, which is going to be the practices, I think, are the 1st through the 5th. So it'll be the Senior Bowl, then Combine, then Pro Day, and then Lord willing the draft.
Right, for sure. All right, Calvin, man. You get back to it. We appreciate you joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Hopefully we can do it again. And you can follow him on Twitter at Can'tCatchCal. Sub 434, huh? I think
can't wait.
And
can't wait for his pro career.
Oh yes, there's no question about it. And he is a burner. It's sub 434. I can see happening. There's no question.
The Rondale Moore comparison is very apt with him. I think he can be every bit of that player.
And here's with him coming into Memphis, there was a process for him. Like I still feel like there's more to unlock with his game because you're talking about a guy who was slashing, doing track and football at the same time. He didn't really focus football-centric until the last 3 years of his career, and we saw where that took him. I still think there's more to unlock there in regards to getting out of breaks and everything else, getting that type of coaching. So we'll see what happens, but I know that 40 question, I was waiting for that one. Sub 434.
When he said it was a minimum, not even a goal.
And also a 4.38 junior year of high school. My gosh.
That's ridiculous.
That's not on laser. That's unheard of. I mean, that's unheard
ridiculous.
Of. Can't wait to see what he can do coming up, especially in the Senior Bowl, Pro Day, Combine, all of that. Now, when we come back, we put a wrap on this edition of Sports Time on Sports 56. We gave him stats. We get to Taco Bell Crunch Time right here on Sports 56, 98.5.
Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane bring you Sports 56 Grind Time. Brought to you by Poultry Power. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's time to call Doug and Colin Brown for your house. Looking to buy or sell a home in Mississippi? Rely on Doug and Colin Brown, $1 Million Realtors at Regency Realty in Mississippi. This father-son combo will help you find your next dream home. With decades of experience, Doug and Colin Brown put honesty, integrity, and clients first. Call Doug and Colin Brown in Mississippi at 901-598-9168. Regency Realty, 901-350-5050.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So instead, we're going to have someone else say it. Because for some reason, when a random person talks about how great something is in a commercial, it's more believable.
I saved with a Progressive home and auto bundle.
And there you have it. I mean, I'm not sure why she's more believable than me, but either way, you get the point about the saving. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for a fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Quick programming note before we get to crunch time. Right here on 560 AM and 98.5 FM. We wrap up Wild Card Weekend with our first Monday Night Football Wild Card matchup. Cardinals at Rams. Broadcast will start at 7 p.m. It's time for crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
What I learned today, one, that Calvin Austin thinks he can go possibly sub 4.3. That's going to be a fun one to watch. But I also learned for the Memphis football program, and this came out yesterday, offensive coordinator search lands on Marshall offensive coordinator Tim Cramsey. He was the quarterback coach there and the OC for 3 years under 2 different coaches. But he is a quarterback coach who's developed quarterbacks with a run game. He also has a run game. Had a 1,400-yard rusher and Rasheen Ali there at Marshall this year. And he is a Chip Kelly disciple, which should tell you all you need to know about his offensive philosophy. He worked for Chip Kelly at New Hampshire in various different roles. Chip Kelly, you can talk about him being a guy who likes to spread it out, who likes to throw the ball a little bit, but he had 1,800 yard rushers yearly when he was at Oregon. It looks like Tim Cramsey's going to, or Cramsey is going to bring a similar style to that. And also, side note for this, it makes a lot more sense alongside Ryan Silverfield and what he wants to do offensively. He's a run game guy. I thought Kevin Johns and Ryan Silverfield was always an interesting fit. This makes a lot more sense. It's a run-heavy spread style, which I think Coach Silverfield will appreciate a lot more.
It's running back U school.
Yep.
And that's what we got accustomed to. I learned today the Tigers still unbelievably on some first 4 out lists, not that far removed from being in the bracket. And I can't wait to hear some of the champions of the little guy. And boy, we hear them every year around snub time and who's in and who's out. I want to see what they say if Memphis gets in with a worse net and having lost to Murray State at home. I want to see if they defend the little guy then. The champions of the little guy, they're always champion of that little guy until that little guy has something they want.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we'll see how that all plays out. Now, what I could have done without Brett, 2 transfers that I think are just interesting. Jaleel Billingsley, we know he left Alabama. He was supposed to be a really good player last year. Didn't really live up to expectations.
Hands of stone.
I think that has to do with him in a lot of cases. He did not catch the ball when it was thrown to him, and then he checked out late in that season. He's transferring to Texas, and I just sort of want to highlight that. Going from 2 programs in Alabama and Texas who have very high expectations, but one that never reaches them and one that always reaches them, that's going to be a wake-up call for him. I don't care who you are. Also, JT.
And they play week 2 next year.
Yeah, and they play week 2, so I guess we'll learn pretty early. And also this, JT Daniels in the transfer portal. Where does he go from Georgia? I mean, what are we talking about? We're probably this is a lower level. He's going to a lower level. There's no question about it.
I heard some clown, pick JT Daniels last year to win the Heisman Trophy.
Hey,
that was my Heisman Trophy winner last year.
You had a chance until he got hurt and it didn't work out.
Yeah,
you had a chance until
you
saw him play game 1. No, I'm not. I'm trying to be facetious.
I picked JT Daniels to win the Heisman and Georgia win the national championship. 50%.
It's not bad.
Where does he end up though? I mean, are we talking like Western Kentucky
and how
level
healthy is he?
School? Are we talking like Western Kentucky, or like some type of school like that? Or
well,
are we
Western Kentucky needs a quarterback.
Still a Power 5 situation for him.
Mm-hmm. South Alabama
into the transfer portal for the second time. That's always tough. That's tough.
That's a lot of portal time. Could have done without the Jerome Boger officiating crew. It was feckless. It was hesitant. The mechanics on it's bad. It's just ridiculous that crew was involved in a NFL playoff game.
Oh my God! Everything. I mean, it could be the most blatant hold on an offensive lineman, and they had to discuss it, bro. They had to discuss it. It just, my gosh. Just the amount of on-field meetings in that game broke up the flow of the game. I thought it was terrible. I'm very glad that NFL made the decision.
Are you on
not
upset
to let
alert at all for the Bengals over the Titans in Nashville Saturday afternoon?
I'm a little.
I am.
Yeah.
I kind of am.
Where
will we have Ryan Tannehill when we rank quarterbacks on Friday?
I don't know.
Above Dak?
And Derrick
Dak's
Henry,
out.
Derrick Henry's going to be back. Derrick Henry's activated, correct? From what I understand.
So. I believe so.
And I know a lot of people say, "Well, he's gotten rest. He's been hurt this whole
Who
time
would
and
you
having
rather
to
have,
rehab."
Tannehill or Burrow?
What kind of question is that?
That's what I'm afraid of.
Oh my gosh! What do you mean? That's not a real question. That's not Burrow.
It's not a serious question.
All day.
That's from a person that picked JT Daniels to win the Heisman Trophy.
I'm curious if Derrick Henry's back and people think that he's going to be able to just jump in and take 20 carries. Can he do that after having been out all this time? I don't know.
Monday Night Football playoff style tonight. I'm looking forward to that. It's Matt Stafford time, isn't it? He's got to have a moment, doesn't he?
Yes, he's got to have a moment. He's got to. It was Dak with the most pressure on him in these playoffs, then Matt Stafford. Dak failed. Let's see if Matt Stafford can fix himself. I'm looking forward to that game. Looking forward to the rest of the slate tonight in the NBA for MLK Jr.
Jazz and the Lakers with Magic Johnson, master of the obvious on Twitter.
He's actually good on TV. I heard him the other day. He's not terrible on TV, but on his Twitter, my gosh, he's something else. Nothing too much in men's basketball. We had the Purdue-Illinois game that finished in 2 OTs. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to David Cobb and Calvin Austin III for their contributions to the program. For Brett, for Bryant, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night. We'll holler at you tomorrow at 3.
A good friend of mine told me about this awesome place for lunch.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Neil's